cars on their rolling lap for the latest round of the Tegiwa Club Enduro Championship. It's round 5 of the season, the championship being led coming into this weekend by Steve Cheetham from Andrew Lightstead and Imran Khan. The grid has on pole position Chris Brown. He'll be starting the BMW M4. Robert Baker starting the Honda Civic next to it on the grid. Leon Bidgeway going solo in the Lotus Exige on the inside of row 2. And Luke Sajikowski starting the number 33 BMW M4. It looks like we're going to get another rolling lap because the safety car staying out there, so it looks like another lap behind the course car start this race. So I can slow down a little bit. We now do have our grid graphic. So here we go then. Pole position, I'd say Chris Brown, alongside him on the front of the grid, Rob Baker. Second row is Leon Bidgeway and Luke Sajikowski. Third row will be Joe Taylor and David Trigg starting the Ginetta G50. Fourth row, Matthew Wallace starting the Seat Leon alongside Owen Fitzgerald in the BMW. On to row number 5. And that will be Matt Maxted starting the BMW E36 M3 alongside Campbell Cassidy in the Z3. Row 6 will be Matty Taylor in the BMW Compact and Steve Cheetham, the championship leader in the Porsche Boxster. Row 7, Andy Bailey in the Golf and Mark Jones in the Seat Leon. The 8th row, Axel van Niederveen in the Lotus Elise and Paul Huxley in the Seat Super Copa. And then we'll look to row 9 of the grid. That will be Shengping Huan and in the Honda NSX, interesting car that one, and Luke Handley in the Honda Civic Type R. Row 10, Tom Kirkland in the BMW and Gavin Johnson in the Porsche Boxster. Row 11 will be William Beach in the Clio and John Atherton in the Elise. And then on row 12 it will be Michael Downey in the Porsche Boxster and Simon Middleton in the Lotus Exige. Moving on to the 13th row, the 13th row. Amanda Black in the Ginetta G40 and Jay Dalgano in the Polo. It will be Nicola Gillett in the Honda Civic Type R and Darren Ball in the BMW. Row 15, John Monroe in the Mazda MX-5 and Carl Cavers in the Lotus Elise S2. And on the 16th row, it'll be Alistair Lindsay in the Honda Civic and Chris Nyland in a similar Civic Type R. And the rest of the top few rows of the grid anyway, we've got Darren Kell and James Kell. Darren Kell starting that car. Imran Khan out next to him on row 17, the Class C Championship leader, not had such a good qualifying. Then Charles Campbell and Jeff Gurrier, row 18. Vicky Brooks and Ivor Mayers, row 19. Darren Anderson and Tom Rogers, row 20. Justin Newnham and Matthew Tidmarsh, row 21. Scott Ferguson and Nick Grove, row 22. Ben McCauley and Steve Dolman on the 23rd row. And then Roland Hopkins, Martin Buckland and Andy Gay round out the field as the lights are on, and they are still on the gantry. They go out now, and the race gets underway then, this 2-hour, 120-minute Club Enduro race from the outside of the front row. It looks like it's the Honda Civic of Rob Baker that has made the best of the start. So Rob Baker it is that sweeps into the lead around the outside into Abbey Corner, and it looks
Sajikowski's
like
second.
Sajikowski in second, is it? So that's the car up from row 2 of the grid. And then we have in third place, it looks like the Lotus Exige of Leon Bidgeway, number 32, as they all jostle for position as they make their way through the village hairpin, through the link and onto the Hanger Straight for the first time in this 2-hour race. There's one mandatory 3-minute pit stop to be made for refuelling during the course of the race, and the challenge on for the lead here as they head down towards Stowe for the first time. It looks like it's going to be Sajikowski around the outside of Baker, the 2018 Civic Cup champion, but he can't make it work, so it's Baker that continues to lead as they go down to the Vale for the first time. These two already pulling out a little bit of a gap over the rest of the field. Sajikowski down the inside into the Vale, and he does go through this time, hugs the inside line tightly now as they go through the first part of Club Corner and onto the International Straight to finish the opening lap. So some early combat there between Baker and Sajikowski, but it's the BMW that comes out on top.
Yeah, that was a really fine effort from Tegiwa down there into Vale. He already moved up well off the start, and the Lotuses are tucked in further back. Taylor now 4th, Bidgeway in 6th, but you'll see that the Lotuses are fantastic in the area of the circuit where you have to be really nimble, but they lose out on sheer grunt down the straights. But out front, Rob Baker tucking into the slipstream of Sajikowski. The other BMW. That's the Chris Brown car, isn't it, in third place, the orange-nosed car. And let's see where those Lotuses are. They were fantastic away from the start. There's a Ginetta coming up, I think it is, coming up pretty strongly in there. There's the Chris Brown pole-sitting BMW with the stripes down the side.
Yes, and Chris Brown driving that car at the moment. I think it may well have been Mika Brown that set the time in qualifying that put that car on pole position. Mika usually the quicker of the two drivers. Probably Carl Swift and Rob Baker, you'd say, are roughly evenly matched. And probably Luke Sedgwickowski and David Whitmore not too far apart either. Had 5 minutes of the race already. The second of those green flag laps, the second of the rolling laps, I should say, I think counted as part of the time allocation of this race. So we're already more than 5 minutes into it. Sedgwickowski leading from Baker by 0.4 of a second. 1.4 seconds behind them is Chris Brown, and then the fourth place car is actually Matt Wallace in the Seat Leon, so that's up from 7th on the grid, so that's a good start.
Problem with the transponder on the Baker car, but it is very much still there. Brown is next up, then it's the 55 car of Wallace, isn't it? And then we've got the white Joe Taylor Lotus.
Yeah, that's there's the Seat there. It says TCR car by the looks of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the 55, the Wallace brothers, both of them originated in MR2 racing, and then they've gone off to do different things. Matt did some racing in the M3 Cup. Simon did some racing in the Civic Cup, but they're racing together here. Also out there, we've got the Invitation Class car this weekend of Stuart Dayburn and his co-driver David Trigg, and it's Trigg actually that started this race. That's the Ginetta G50, so it's not actually part of the championship, but is now in 6th place. Oh,
yep.
Just leaving the pit lane there, I noticed, was Darren Ball's car. Now that was touted start on road 14. Oh, and that's the championship leader who's had a spin, Steve Cheetham, number 43. The Class B car has had a spin, and it sounds like we can hear from Josh Barrett in the pits.
Just to say, Darren Ball came into the pits at the end of that first green flag lap.
Okay, so possibly some late setup changes needed. Thank you very much for that, Josh. It's not always possible to spot all of the cars as they head into the pit lane. It's much easier for us to see them come out of the pit lane from our commentary position. But yes, a spin there for Steve Cheetham, so that certainly dropped him out of the top 20, but still an hour and 52 minutes to go for him to try and recover some ground. The 54 car of the Wallaces. There's a bit of bodywork I can see hanging off one of the minis that's just going past me as well. But look how busy this field is, and what a great looking and an eclectic grid it is as well.
I think it is. It's just the epitome of club racing, to see such a variety, marks and models. We've got family teams, we've got teams of partners, we've got buddies in there. The whole thing really superb.
Yeah, absolutely right. This is, say, the 5th round of the Club Enduro Championship. We've already had races at Donington Park at the beginning of the season. Then we went to Croft thereafter, and since then there's been a double header, 2 slightly shorter races at Spa-Francorchamps last time out. We've had 3 different winners from those 4 races, but let's have some news from Josh.
It was a power steering failure for Darren Ball, so the team has sent him back out. I just wonder, because he came in after the race had started, whether that can count as their 3-minute pit stop or not.
Well, if it was 3 minutes, then that might well do.
Also in the pits with damage is Justin Newman's Mazda MX-5, so I'm heading up there now.
Okay, well that was one that started right towards the back of the field in any case. That's Justin Newman in the Mazda. But as I was saying, we had 3 different winners so far this season. Luke Sedgwickowski and David Whitmore won both of the first 2 races at Donington Park and at Croft. But then we had different winners at Spa. Ben Salmon winning the first of the races there, and Michael Price, Callum McLeod duo the second of those races at Spa-Francorchamps.
He still qualifies as a pro, Callum McLeod.
Callum McLeod does, yes.
Yeah.
He is one of the pro drivers.
Gets you an extra slug of penalty, doesn't it?
It does.
Extra stop and go.
Extra stop and go penalty. There's only one driver that's attracting that today. That is the number 30 car. So not the 30 car, it's the 32nd penalty, but it's the Adriano Medeiros Axel van Niederen car that's getting that extra penalty. That Mini that I saw with some bodywork damage, that is into the pits now, so if that's Josh can find out about that, that's the 107 car of Vicky Brooks, who's driving this 2-hour race solo.
Yeah, the damage to the rear left corner. Lamborghini works driver Phil Keane going to the repairs. That the bodywork is rubbing against the tyre, so that's sort of the problem is there. And I just wonder if that car might have come in contact with the Mazda that's in the pits too.
Okay, well.
And that Mazda's now going into the garage, so that looks to be, there's a big puddle of fluid on the coming after that too. So
let's see if that car can get back out before the end of the race, Josh, because otherwise it's what a spin! That is a big moment for the 152 car, and that is the car that started 30th, the Carl Cavers Lotus Elise S2. That's had a very high speed spin coming out of Abbey down through Farm Curve. So Carl Cavers delayed there, started in 30th, as I say. There's that Vicky Brooks car. There's some. No, it's not damage. That's just the shape of the Mini, isn't it? On the front. I apologise to any Mini fans out there. But yes,
there's been some contact somewhere, I think. Safe to say.
Yeah,
it's the opposite corner to where the camera was there.
Yeah.
So there's a big puddle of oil being cleared up where the Mazda was. So that's, I would suspect, Justin Newman out the race.
Rob Baker coming back at leader Luke Sedzikowski in traffic, and it's constant traffic again, isn't it?
Yeah, 50, well, very nearly 50 cars we had to start this race, around a 1.85 mile track. I think Josh was telling me earlier on, he worked this out. That means there's a car on average every 70 metres of road, so it's not a lot of track to have for yourself. And obviously, the way it works is that they'll usually aggregate together much more closely together than that. We're watching the Ginetta come through. That is the guest class car of David Trigg, who's starting that. Then you've got further back down, I can see that's the Golf that we need to watch out for. The Andy Bailey and Luke Schlevitz, number 95, calling into 12th position. There is the Honda NSX as well. Shane Ping Huan at the wheel of that at the moment.
Yeah,
and,
Mr. Yellow Speed, and that's the car run, unlike the road-going NSXs, with a 2-litre Honda Civic EP3 motor, making 240 odd horsepower, 6-speed gearbox, and it's really, really nicely turned out. And his teammate is the Nankang Tyre Company kind of test driver. It's their works driver.
Okay, and that car is running in 13th position at the moment. One of the best looking cars on the grid. It's just a constant stream of traffic down the Hanger Straight, isn't it? It looks like the M25 on a Friday night, doesn't it?
Slightly more ruly than the M25 at the moment. Touching wood.
Yes. There's the 55 car going through. That is the Wallaces. They are still in 4th position. We saw the 77 car going through. That's the little Ginetta, the 177 car of Amanda Black starting that car. There is our race leader. They look at how much traffic he's got to deal with. Number 33, there's our second place man, number 6, Rob Baker as well. So they are both absolutely
another spin. The 18 goes round, the Lotus Elise.
Yes, that's 18 being driven by John Atherton's going solo in that car. So he's had a moment. Well, Danny Andrew was complaining about the lack of blue flags in the RGB Sports 1000 race. The marshals are down here doing good service with their blue flags already. They'll have sore arms, I should think, by the end of this race, such as the amount of traffic that they'll have to deal with. There's our race leader though, Luke Sedzikowski, number 33, on his 9th lap here.
Identical last laps, 1:17.27, leaves them at 1.06 apart. And this really is mentally terribly grueling, Ian, to face this constant stream of cars to be overtaken. If you're in one of the quicker cars, if you're in one of the slower cars, it's grueling as well, because while you're best off sticking to your line, doing your own thing, letting the quick guys and girls find their way through, you need to be very cognizant of the fact that there's something happening everywhere. Expect the unexpected, as we used to say.
Well, totally. It's 2 hours, but it's not just the physical demands of sitting in a pretty rather warm racing car, as it is, as Marcus says, the mental demands that places it on you as well. Now, the Chris and Micah Brown car, Chris Brown driving at the moment, is closing in on the 2 leaders as well, I fancy. Its best lap time is actually the best of the race, a 1:15.74 so far. So that car is one to watch. In fact, here it is. It's that's the leader, isn't it? Sedzikowski just lapping one of the Clio is about a second and a half up the road. 1 hour 45 left to go. Lapping one of the MX-5s there and one of the Civics as well. Just trying to see which Civic that is. Classes, by the way, at the moment being led by the number 83 car. That's Matt Maxted in the BMW E36 M3 race, the driver that was out in the Ginetta GT5s. And leading Class C at the moment is the number 3 car, which is the Chris Nyland Honda Civic Type R. Josh?
At the opposite end of the pit lane, I think it's Liam Bidgeway that's brought his Lotus in. You can check that on the screens, but he qualified so well this morning, but again, problems with that lead as we've seen all season. Yeah, that has dropped down. The time on screens indeed was up in the top 3 or 4 places, now down to 17th and dropping further off our screens. There's a car coming down the pit lane, I suspect, with a puncture, because there's the Simon Walker-Hansel team getting ready with a jack. So that's our Class C leader, is it? The number 3 car? It's certainly a Civic. It's coming down towards us. Yes, it is indeed. So that's the car that was started by Chris Nyland, that one. Simon Walker-Hansel's doing the pit stop, so it doesn't look like he's going to be getting into the car. However, they can't find a puncture, so... Well, they're running around with the wheel. We can see on our screens, trying to find something to do with it. Yeah, and Simon Walker-Hansel's tapping the tyre, and he's going one side to the other, so he can't find a puncture, it would seem. But they're going to jack the car up nevertheless, and I'll see if we can find out what's going on. Yeah, well, they're going to try and change a tyre anyway. This is going to lose them time, though. It's going to lose them the Class C lead as well. I will try and find out who it is that is leading Class C once they have gone, and that's going to involve me checking out the 750 Motor Club live timing. So you can go to 750mc.co.uk. You get all of the live timing information there, as well as just the top 20 that you can see on your screens if you're watching on the live stream on YouTube or on Facebook via Alpha Live, who are covering the 750 Motor Club events this season. Josh? There's also a little bit of damage to the front left-hand corner, so I wonder if contact has been the problem. Simon Walker-Hansel can't find anything, so they've let the car go, but I wonder if there's been a vibration and the driver's thought it's a puncture, but it seems not. There was no tyre change in the end, I don't think. OK, so leading Class C now is the number 73 car, which is that of John Monroe and Nick Dougal in the Mazda MX-5. So that is car 73, and that was started by John Monroe. So John Monroe, the 21-year-old Scot, former Mazda MX-5 championship racer, he now assumes the lead of Class C. Josh? The pit lane's rather busier than it should be at this point of the race. Vicky Brooks is back in again, so I suspect that damage to the rear left-hand corner is causing problems. Phil Keane having a chat with her to see what the problem is. But there is certainly damage. Yes, it's been crushed right in as the rear left-hand corner, and it's rubbing on the tyre, so that's the problem there, which is a shame because Vicky Brooks, Marcus, I think, sees a lot more out in historic cars. We do.
48 just taken an excursion. One of the Seats was off the road, but is back going. No problem at all for Mark Jones there with the Seat Leon, other than loss of time. At the back of this group, you can see the Honda NSX, which is behind the Mark Jones Seat, and that is Shengpin 1 in the 133 car, which is up into 11th place, and that's looking absolutely gorgeous, that car. So 133, which started 17th in the first 20 minutes or so, up into 11th place.
So I've had just under 20 minutes of this race so far, and so far it's Sergikovsky leading by 3.3 seconds from Baker, another 3.3 seconds back to Joe Taylor in the Lotus Elise in third. Chris Brown is fourth, then the Wallaces, Matt Wallace at the moment in the number 55 Seat, then the Owen Fitzgerald BMW E36 M3. Class A Championship is being led by Sergikovsky and Whitmore, so that's the race leading car leading Class A in the Championship with 36 points, although didn't score particularly well at Spa last time out, but they did win both of the first 2 rounds of the Championship. Class B, as I say, by Steve Cheetham, who is 4th in Class B at the moment in his Porsche Boxster. And Class C and secondly in the overall Championship, Andrew Lightstead and Imran Khan, I think, he said, grabbing his phone back to check. They are currently running in second place within Class C. Yes, they are behind the Monroe and Dougal car. So that's how our sort of leading class protagonists are going at the moment. As we were watching the leader head through Village. There's the second place car, number 6, which is Rob Baker, the area motorsport man himself, 30-year-old from Utoxeter.
There's a fair number of drivers going off the road there at Village. They kind of outbrake themselves into, yes, Village corner. Just run in too deep. It's approached on a curve, which is makes it tricky.
Yes, this international circuit has been in use for what, about 8 or 9 years now, something like that, hasn't it? It was sort of carved off at the southern end of the circuit, so you've got the 2 circuits here at Silverstone, the national circuit and the international circuit that can run independently, and if you join both bits together you get the Grand Prix circuit, which the 750 Motor Club will use later this year for the Burkitt 6-hour relay race, and then a club championship finals meeting the following day featuring Club Enduro.
Used to be the way with the British Racing Drivers Club Championships. They used to race on the original club circuit numerous times during the year, then have an extra treat at the end and race on the Grand Prix circuit. And jolly good show it was in the 80s, I remember.
Absolutely. Yeah, so 750 Motor Club was already raced on the national circuit this year. Now, what's happened there? Is that, I know that is just a transponder issue, I think.
It may well be that Baker Swift car keeps disappearing on the screens, but we know it has a transponder issue from earlier. There's the Brown and Taylor. They've changed order. Chris Brown now back ahead of Joe Taylor, and there's the Honda. The Honda is still there, and it's still fine. Yes, it's been reinstated by the timekeepers after 14 laps.
Yeah. So
it's 4.8 seconds behind, lost half a second or so on that lap.
Yeah, I think on these timings on our live feed, you were still seeing that car there, and that is because there are actually 2 independently run timing systems to bring the live stream timings to you. And they're both just saying slightly different things just for a moment. They've brought themselves back in alignment. There is the 11 car of Chris Brown. There is the 77 car of Joe Taylor in 4th place. That's the Leon Bidgeway car. Looks like that's being pushed into the pit garages, I'm afraid. So a little bit of promise at the start of the race, but it looks like it's being pushed away. So Leon Bidgeway, the 43-year-old computer consultant from Argoed in Wales, who started out racing with the MSV Track Day organisation, then went into the ML2 Super GTs, finally moving into road sports and club endurance.
Bargoed, of course, home of champions, because David Llewellyn, the ex-Castle Combe Formula Ford champion, from Bargoed.
Oh, there we go. Quite the place. So that's the 76 car. That's the Michael Downey car that's heading down straight. But more news from the pits, Josh.
The Civic is back in. That front splitter starting to fall off of it now. So this was the car that was leading Class C in them early stages. And this time, Ian, I think they might well do the tyre change that they thought about on the previous stop.
Yeah, well, maybe they've actually worked out what tyre it is that needs the attention now, since...
and Simon Walker-Hansel sprinted into the garage to put his helmet on, so they're going to do this as the full stop as well. So first drive is Chris Nylon, isn't it, driving that one?
Yeah.
He's getting out, and Simon Walker-Hansel getting ready to go in.
Yeah, so that's Chris Nylon, the 32-year-old from Oldham. Started out racing in the XR Challenge. He's going to be replaced relatively early by Simon Walker-Hansel, who is a driver of some repute.
T-car champion.
T-car champion.
Racing Formula BMW, didn't he?
He did that as well. Most recently we've seen him out in the M3 Cup with the 750 Motor Club.
One races in that too.
Yeah, he certainly did.
So the tyre's certainly not flat. And now the car, they're redoing the wheel nuts back up on the tyre they're about to take off, so they haven't done the tyre change after all.
It sounds like a degree of disarray.
It's like a Mercedes pit stop from the German Grand Prix, isn't it? About as organised as that.
They're now doing some work to the engine bay. They're tightening up something there too. But Simon Walker-Hansel's now ready, so he's getting in, and Chris Nylon is strapping him in, and the Z3's in now as well, and that's going straight into the garage.
So that's Campbell Cassidy that was in that car, wasn't it? I think to start with.
Yeah, that team done lots of work, haven't they? Had problems at Croft. It's a shame to see that car in.
A few years ago, Matt Charrington had to pit that car in the Club Enduro race because he was getting a burnt backside, I remember.
Yes. Okay, so Simon Hanson's almost been strapped in now, so I think this is... obviously lost time in that first stop, but this stop shouldn't have lost them as much time as previously. I'll try and grab a word with Chris in a moment to see what happens.
Okay, sounds like the dyno's being run in the background, I can hear. So that's better. There you can see Michael Downey in the number 76 Porsche Boxster going through. He's running in 17th place. He's 7th within Class B at the moment.
Just in the battle go through the screen for third place, which is Chris Brown and Joe Taylor. Chris Brown in the BMW number 11, Joe Taylor in 77, the little Lotus. 3-car still being fiddled with, probably the term.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure who's in that car at the moment. I presume it is Walker that's getting or gone in.
He is. He was the one that was sorting the spanners out. So the team have gotten out, have asked him where he put them.
It's not as competent as that Mercedes pit stop in the German Grand Prix, is it? They're
now unbolting. If we look in here, Marcus might be able to. Marcus is our most technical commentator. But they've unscrewed everything in there. Now they're. So it's some sort of engine issue.
You don't generally have to fiddle with a Honda Type R engine, do you? It's fine. But the problem here is in his plug spanner, isn't he?
Yeah.
Some misfire, maybe just sort of trying to find out which one is misfiring, which plug to maybe replace. Do that by feeling the exhaust. But there's a massive inlet manifold, but probably can't see the exhaust. It's all hiding.
I don't know how much track time this car's had before. It might be interesting to find that out, Luke, if you can. Not Luke, Josh even. There's Steve Cheatham, by the way, our Class B championship leader, the overall championship leader. He's up now to 4th place. He's made up another couple of places within that class as the race has gone on. Josh.
Ian, I've got Chris now. Chris, what's happened out there?
We were going well, actually. We were up to 1st place in class. We had slight contact with actually one of our teammates in the Clio. Did a few laps, then since then there was a massive vibration on the front left where we obviously had a little bit of contact. And then there was a misfire as well, so we've had double bubble. Came in for a bit of a pit stop. The guy said everything was fine, went back out, it just got worse and worse and worse, so took the decision really for safety, come in, make sure it's all right. We'll get the spark plugs changed, see if we can kill the misfire. Simon Walker-Hansel's going out now and see what he can do.
Is this the first time out for the car?
For this car in this championship, yes. Yeah. We've been out in the NSX and the Tegiwa M4, obviously they run, but this is a new one for the Tegiwa team, so yeah.
But we were speaking to Luke earlier, obviously fits perfectly into Class C as you were leading early on.
Yeah, it does really well. It's mega on the brakes, it's good through the corners, lacking in a bit of straight line speed, but other than that it's a really well sorted car and perfect for that class, as we proved in the start of the race. But yeah, unfortunately with this slight technical, but we'll work on it, see if we can come back and see what we do.
I think you drove the NSX at Spa. How was that?
Yeah, that's a really good car, that one. Yeah, it's I'm backing it for Alton Park, so we'll see how this goes, and I might visit it in the future. I don't know.
But I hope all sorted and see it get to the end. So Chris Nyland there out of the number 3 Honda Civic. Simon Walker-Hansel about to take it back out.
Thanks very much indeed, Josh. With 28 minutes of the race having now gone, it's still Luke Sajakowski leading by 6.3 seconds from Rob Baker. In 3rd place is Chris Brown, another 4 seconds behind that. Joe Taylor right behind him in 4th place, number 77. 5th is Matt Wallace in the Seat Leon. 6th is Owen Fitzgerald in the BMW M3, number 8. And there we are seeing our Class B leading car. That's Matt Maxted, the Ginetta GT5 Challenge racer, out sharing that car with Ben Salmon this weekend, and leading the class at the moment from the Andy Bailey and Luke Schlevitz Golf. That car having been started by Andy Bailey today, and there's about 9 seconds between them on track. And 3rd within that class is Sheng Huan in the Honda NSX, the car that we were just hearing about Chris Nyland having driven at Spa a few weeks ago.
After being out for a few laps, it looked like Darren Ball's car going to be pushed back into the garage, presumably with those power steering issues, making it impossible to make it to the end.
Okay. So Darren Ball out of the race. We'll see him out as well, presumably later on in the same car in the BMW Car Club races. So there's our Class B leader, and yeah, there's now no cars on track. Well, on the same lap between Maxted and Andy Bailey, and the Class B lead. Just looking to see how far Steve Cheetham is behind. Steve Cheetham is about 8 seconds behind the Golf, so he can certainly make that up in the remaining hour and a half of this race.
Yeah, he's third in class now, and he's lapping fractionally quicker than the NSX Honda ahead of him.
Looks like the BMW Z3 is going to go back out. Campbell Cassidy still at the wheel. Matt Cherrington standing by. No, it's a Taylor car about to go out. Now it's stationary in the middle of the pit lane.
Oh, and a spin. That is Chris Brown from third place that has spun down at the village hairpin. So car number 11 spinning round. They'll have lost several places because of that. He got a few cars within a few seconds of him. So that's the M4, the BMW M4 of Chris Brown, number 11, spins with 30 minutes of the race gone. And we'll see when they come back through exactly how far down the order he has dropped, but quite a long way, I would think. So it should be Joe Taylor in the number 77 car, at least, that will be up to third place as a result of that. Leader has just come through to complete another lap. That's Luke Sedgwickowski, 22 laps now in the book. And it should be Rob Baker that's still there in second place. Yeah, 12.7 seconds behind him. And then, yeah, third now actually is the Wallaces. So what happened? Oh, yeah, so yeah, we need to wait for Baker to be put back in on the timing screen. But it's Joe Taylor third, and then Wallaces in the set fourth, and Hind and Fitzgerald at the wheel of the M3 fifth at the moment.
Yeah, you'd know it as a single drive around here, wouldn't you? Because you've actually... Oh, another spinner. That's the 68 Mazda MX-5 has gone round.
I think that's Darren Kell that's in that car at the moment.
And there's a BMW stationary in the middle of the track, 46. But I think just waiting for a safe point to return. Yes, indeed. 46 comes back onto the track.
That's Matty Taylor in the compact that he's sharing with Will Ashmore, his fellow Armed Forces Challenge racer. They started the race in 11th, and trying to see where they are now. 18th, so they've obviously dropped back already during the course of this race before that.
To answer your question, the 11 Chris and Micah Brown BMW has dropped 6th place.
So it lost, well, 3 places and probably about 12 seconds or something like that, I would say. Which could prove crucial around here. I would expect most of the drivers will make the pit stops probably between about 40 minutes and 1 hour 20, you would think, barring the possibility of a safety car intervention, because that could cause changes to the strategy. It's a mandatory 3-minute pit stop when refuelling may take place, and the driver change happens, and it's set at that level, so to avoid drivers trying to make stops that are just too fast, as we're seeing Luke Schlevitt sitting there waiting to go out in the
Jabba Sport overalls.
Yeah. See him go out later on in the number 95 Golf. It looks like the Z3 has gone back out again, I think, which was in to the pit lane earlier on. So I think Campbell Cassidy has possibly gone back out again to get some more lapping in.
Brown BMW has lost about another 4 seconds on that lap in traffic. The number 11 car still running in 6th place and 13 seconds ahead of David Trigg in the Ginetta.
Okay. Thanks to those of you watching on YouTube. I used to have a tailwind into that corner and everyone's messing up their brakes, but well, I presume that Rob Sutherland is where that comment is referring to the various spins we've had at Village. Yes, there will be a tailwind, more or less a tailwind, it'll be a slight crosswind actually, down into Village. The wind is more or less straight down the Hangar Straight, headwind into the drivers there, and then more or less a tailwind therefore down the International Pit Straight. So it'll be pretty much a bit of a crosswind as they're turning through the village hairpin. I've seen a few spins during the course of this race. Here from one of our contributors that the Boxster has also had a big moment coming out of the club a few moments ago, but news from the pits, Josh.
I just had a chat with Matt Charrington. Apparently Campbell Cassidy had a spin on the first lap which dropped him into the pack, and then he had contact fighting his way back through, and it's bent the rear right corner, so he's gone back out to see what the car's handling like, and if it's not running well, I'm going to ask him to bring the car in because they don't want it to be damaged any further, as the car is apparently running quite well this weekend.
Okay, you can see Andy Waters over your left shoulder, Josh, which means that it's definitely Ivor Mares out in the car that those two are sharing. That's the number 316 BMW 330, which that's what I wasn't 100% sure on, but I took a punt on it being Ivor Mares, and indeed it is. Class C lead, you can see up into the top 20 there. That's the John Monroe number 73 car for the 21-year-old Scott. TWP Racing, so it's a car that's run by students at Glendora University in Wrexham, and so far this season that car's had 2nd, 9th, 1st and 7th place finishes within Class C, so a couple of good ones and a couple of not so good ones during the course of the season. Where are they within the Class C standings? They are 3rd in the Class C standings, behind Andrew Lightstead and Imran Khan and Darren Kell and James Kell, the father and son team, who are saw out racing in the AMX5 Super Series at Alton Park last weekend. There's the 53 car, that's the little Polo, which actually is in Class A. It's probably just worth explaining the classes briefly. So the classes are based on power to weight ratio. Oh, there's a lot of smoke. I think that looks like, was it bodywork fouling the tyre?
Yes, it's the rear bumper in.
Yeah,
on
it is.
The Roadster, the MR2 Roadster.
Yeah, so that is the Nathan Harrison and Martin Buckland MR2 Roadster, isn't it? So that's, yeah, down the pit lane. Now that's heading into yours. But just to explain the classes briefly, Class A is for cars of up to 300 brake horsepower per tonne. Class B for cars of up to 240 brake horsepower per tonne. And Class C for cars of up to 180 brake horsepower per tonne. And that's all checked on the 750 Miles Club rolling road facility that's taken to the race meeting, so that power outputs and indeed the weight of the cars can be checked, just to check that everyone is running at the correct power to weight ratio for their class as well. So it's all very well policed by the 750 Motor Club, and it produces really good competitive racing within the classes. Josh, news from you. As
you say, the Toyota MR2 comes in. Got Martin Buckland, the former Sport Specials racer, so the 22 GT team go to work, and yeah, it's dropped on the rear left-hand corner. Oh yes, you can see the rear split has been damaged as well, but they are sending him straight back out there. So Martin Buckland goes back in the race with that damaged rear corner, so we'll see if he's able to continue at speed or not.
Yeah, hour and 22 minutes gone, so I reckon we're getting towards the kind, sorry, hour and 22 minutes to go, we're getting towards the kind of time when we might start to see some pit stops.
A couple of much better laps for the chase car. That's the number 6 Honda of Rob Baker, and he's now within 6 seconds of Luke Stejkowski with the leading BMW 30, number 33.
Yeah, the best lap of the race actually is the car in 5th place, isn't it? 1:15.45 to Owen Fitzgerald in that BMW E36 M3. They've won Club Enduro races in the past, I seem to remember that duo a few years ago now, and Club Enduro has come on a long way since then. So Stejkowski leading by 6.3 seconds from Rob Baker, and Joe Taylor 3rd, Wallace is 4th, Fitzgerald 5th, and Chris and Mika Brown in 6th place.
Yeah, they're losing ground in traffic. They're some way back now, Chris and Mika Brown.
Off the circuit there is the number 48 car. That is the Mark Jones and Robert Taylor.
It's not the first time.
Leon. And that's the car that was running in 12th place overall. Steve Cheetham, I notice, is still there in 3rd place within Class
chiseling
B.
away, isn't he? And he's back up into 11th overall. He is, what, about 3 seconds, just under 3 seconds behind Paul Huxley. once he's out of the way, has clear sight essentially of the Bailey Schlevitz and Salmon Maxted cars, which are his class rivals.
Yeah, there is Ivor Mayers. I was mentioning that 316 car. There it is, the AW Track Sport run machine. Andy Waters of AW Track Sport will be taking it out for the second half of the race. 27 going through there is the Clio. And that's William Beach and David Vincent today. That car was Creventic 24-hour winner in Dubai a few years ago. It's being driven, that 27 car, at the moment by, he said, looking at his notes, yeah, William Beach has started that car. The 34-year-old in the car sales business. Running outside the top 20 at the moment. There's Michael Downey again. You always spot his and that 53 Polo, so that runs in Class A. So it seems like an unlikely car.
For the Polo Turbo.
Yeah.
Or supercharged, maybe.
Yeah. On the power to weight ratio, that will obviously is a less heavy car than some of the sort of big BMWs and so forth that sit within that class. So it makes it into Class A.
The Wallace Seat 55 and 8, the Hind Fitzgerald BMW, are now running very close.
Josh,
look at that Volkswagen Polo. They've taken the rear wing off the car since qualifying, which I don't know what you think, Marcus, about the wind and therefore slowing that car down in a straight line. So they've taken the wing off it, but surely that would affect the handling.
Well, it could well, side to side, depending on where you're going to pick up the crosswinds.
Meanwhile, there's a Lotus in the pit lane. That's car number 23. So this could, Ian, be our first of our sort of scheduled stoppers.
Yeah, and that's one that's being driven by 3 different drivers. So that's a 3-car team for that Class C car, which started 45th. Ben McCauley started it, but also Graham Robinson and Mark Salmon, the other drivers going in. So if they're splitting it 3 ways, then yes, that's about the right time for a pit stop for that car. One of their stops has to be 3 minutes, the other one doesn't necessarily have to be. But of course, having to make an extra pit stop in its own right will be a bit of a penalty. Adriano Medeiros, of course, will have to serve a penalty, or Axel van Niederveen will do. In their Lotus Elise S2, we heard from Adriano early on, the multiple classic Formula Ford 1600 champion. Regular in Brit car as well. And he's the only pro categorised driver on the grid here this weekend. In fact, there is a definition of what counts as a pro in the regulations, but it's I think if you are a British Touring Car Championship driver, or you're classified a certain way in British GT or BRDC.
Oh, the 48.
It's off again.
Yeah, it's the 3rd time in the race. The Mark Jones set looked like probably was out of brakes at the end of the Vale.
Yeah, and back onto the circuit he goes. Still running 13th, well, probably lost a position or 2 now. There is the 55 car that's still running in 4th place, which is the Wallace's, and then the Hind and Fitzgerald are right behind them now, aren't they? So
yeah, that's been
right together.
Yeah, quite a big battle in the last few laps.
Someone ahead of them was kicking up, whether that's some rubber or some dirt, probably some rubber off the edge of the circuit. But yeah. It looks a pretty unassuming car, doesn't it? The white BMW of Owen Fitzgerald. It's got no fancy livery on it, but just pretty much a plain white car.
What they kind of call a Q car.
Yeah, absolutely. Heading hidden behind the Seat down the straight and into Stowe Corner. He's going to do it. Is he around the outside? He's certainly going to run alongside through Stowe Corner, runs a little bit wide and exit, and the Seat will hold on there. But
he might not down into to the tight corner at Vale. There was an attempt from the BMW, the Seat a little bit lighter, I suspect. Could brake a little later. Coming out into the long club corner. Those two still locked in combat.
Yeah, so that's the battle on track for 4th and 5th position. Only 0.3 of a second separating them after 32 laps of racing around this 1.85 mile Silverstone International Circuit in this Tegiwa Club Enduro Championship race. Round 5 of 8 this season. After this we go to Alton Park Snetterton, and then back to Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit to round out the season. Just a lot of racing to be done then.
Well, there's a car in the pits in, which you thought would be a scheduled stop, but nobody came to greet the driver.
Well, which car was that?
That's the Mark Jones Seat. Eventually, a team appears at the car, but it was sat there a good 15 seconds before anybody did. Now they look like they could put the jack into the car. There's somebody having a word with the driver, but there's no sign of Robert Taylor taking the car over. So
up on the tracks it goes now, we can see.
Like you say, this was the point where you expect to be prepared for any stop, and this team certainly wasn't.
Right, as Marcus had said, it had at least 3 spins that we'd seen on the camera. So maybe the team were glued to the live stream footage to see if he did it again. 45 minutes have gone. Tegiwa leading by 8 seconds from Baker. Taylor in third. Class B, Matt Maxted leading by about 4.5 seconds from Andy Bailey and Steve Cheetham. And Class C, it is still the John Monroe car in 20th position overall. Second within Class C is the Andrew Lightstead Imran Khan number 79 car, and that's being driven by Imran Khan at the moment. And third within that class is the Rogers and Griffiths number 12 Clio, Tom Rogers at the wheel of that at the moment. Sort of a Niedervein, I see, just making up some ground. The one that's dropping back in, yeah, is the one in the pit lane, isn't it? Which is the Seat, you can see on screen now. The number 48 car, which now does have a team to attend to it. Looks like it's ready to go back out again. It's been dropped back down. Josh?
Wonder if Mark Jones is driving solo now, because there's certainly not been a driver change. The helmet inside the car still says Mark Jones as well, so that's perhaps now a solo entry. Because, as you say, not much work's been done on the car. There's a little bit of damage at the front, but nothing to worry about.
Orange MX-5 went autocrossing for a while down the outside of one of the corner boards.
Just trying to work out who that was, but couldn't see the number on it. Now there is our second place car. Just going through shot. That was Rob Baker in the number 6 Honda Civic. So this circuit is so busy, isn't it? There is, oh no, had that change because Fitzgerald had noticed there as they went through ahead of Wallace, and that had happened that time, that lap. So lap 34 of the race, Owen Fitzgerald getting ahead of Matt Wallace and up into 4th place. That's already the car that's got the best lap of the race, a 1:15.45. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars within the top 5.
There are a massive gaggle of cars going down the hangar straight into Stowe Corner.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, 5 cars with the top 6, I should say, who've done sub 75 seconds or sub 76 second laps within the 1:15s, in other words. Oh, very busy. 3 wide into the Vale. That's a very tight part of the circuit, including that number 3 car that was the Tegiwa car that.
With the acceleration of the Seat, the TCR spec Seat passed one of the Lotuses there, left it standing still.
Absolutely.
As Matt Wallace got stuck into the throttle.
The 48 cars left the pit lane again, so we think that's still the same driver on board from what Josh was telling us. Has started the race.
Yeah, that's right, Ian, but 2 more cars in. That's the compact, that's the Matty Taylor car, and in comes the Z3, but this looks to be a driver change because Matt Cherrington is standing there ready, so Campbell Cassidy looking to go out, but the team immediately go to the engine bay, so hopefully all is okay. Campbell Cassidy getting out, Matt Cherrington standing by to get in, and Matty Taylor's compacts will be handed over to Will Ashmore.
Yeah, so Will Ashmore will take the second half race. There is the Z3 that Matt Cherrington and his TMC Motorsport concern have been developing for quite a few years now. It's never really brought much in the way of results, it has to be said, but they've kept plugging away and trying to do something different with it, and it's a different car. There was talk for a while of there being a one-make Z3 series run by the 750 Motor Club, and that never came to anything, although others have tried to make a go of that subsequently.
I think Tynke was adjusted the Baker Swift thing to show 2 laps there, missed one.
Yeah.
It now appears to be 11.9 seconds adrift of the 33 Luke Sejikowski BMW.
Yeah, it is. So that's 70 minutes to go. Almost halfway through this race. You can see both of the two top cars in Class C now on the timing screen as well. So John Monroe and Imran Khan sharing with Andrew Lightstead. Both a couple of laps down on the leader Luke Sejikowski at the moment, who leads by just under 12 seconds. Matt Maxted still leading in Class B, the up to 240 brake horsepower per tonne class. As the race leader just going through to lap Michael Downey, number 76, who's in 13th position overall, so that's a suspect. A couple of laps now have been put on Downey. If we go to the full 2 hours without any interruptions, we should get well over 80 laps, 85 laps maybe out of this race. Marcus?
Talking about Class C with the John Monroe car leading 73 from 79, Andrew Lightstead, Imran Khan. The gap between them is something like 12 seconds, which is not that much with such a long way to go.
See on the screen there, Justin Newnham, 34 laps behind. He was that very early retirement in his MX-5. Josh?
Simon Walker-Hansel's back into the pit lane, so a third stop for that Civic. This time the front splitters collapsed and the car's going into the pit lane, and the Kells are in, so this is Dad, isn't it? Darren Kell getting out the car, and Janetta racer James Kell will get in once the car has been refuelled. One car that has been refuelled and gets back into the race is Will Ashmore, who's taken over Matty Taylor's compact.
Okay, so we're at the stage of the race where the timing screen will start to make less and less sense as some drivers have made their stops and others have yet to do so. But,
BMW of the Browns that was so strong earlier on is now almost half a minute behind the car it's chasing.
Lapping in the 17s now as well, where it has done 15s, 1 minute 15s in the earlier part of the race. Still, it's just gone past our window. A great fight going on between Owen Fitzgerald and Matthew Wallace, 4th and 5th overall in cars 8 and 55 respectively. If we hold this shot, they'll shortly arrive in the back of it. There's Steve Cheetham going through in the dark coloured Boxster with the yellow nose section, former Porsche 924 champion. And there is that battle side by side, in fact, for 4th place in the background, and it looks like Matt Wallace has got back through. Yes, he has. So Matt Wallace back up to 4th position. Josh?
Matt Charrington's taken the Z3 out and the Volkswagen Polo's in the pit lane, so Joe Delgado to hand over to Charlie Dark.
And Owen Fitzgerald going back at Matt Wallace as they go into Stowe Corner this time. He's on the outside line though, and unable to make a way back through, so Matt Wallace gets back up into 4th position, holding on to that slot, but he'll be in that frame of mind now where he's thinking that he shortly will need to come into the pit lane to hand over to his brother Simon. Only one of the top 9 cars who's on a solo bid is Joe Taylor in the number 77 Elise. So there's something there to be said for that, in that you know that you're going to should get consistent lap times all the way through the race, bar any stamina issues for the drivers, whereas most of the other teams will have one driver a little bit quicker than the other, one would think.
Joe Taylor was much closer a lap or so ago, so I think he's not got the rub of the green. There's the 55 Seat locks a rear wheel under braking for Village.
Josh, news from you?
Second pit stop for Martin Buckland. This time it's a mandatory stop, fuel going in. He's having a chat with Nathan Harrison. The 22 GT Racing boss will get aboard the Toyota MR2. So that damage it had that caused it to come in the pits earlier looks to have not caused it so many issues that it can carry on in this race.
We've got yellow flags at Abbey, which I'm presuming is something that's gone on further round at Farm, but we can't see it from our commentary box window at the moment. Ah, there it is. Oh, it's the NSX. The Honda NSX has had a spin at Farm. It's on the runoff area on the outside of the left-handed curve there, and it's not moving. Oh, it is now, right as I say that. Fired back into life maybe, and Shenqin Huan can hopefully get that well, back to the pit lane if nothing else. It's maybe the kind of time a stop should be made anyway. Josh?
One car that's making it stop, it's the Ginetta G50, so this is the invitation car. That's David Trigg, who started, and Stuart Dayburn is about to get on board, and the team having to wait for the first driver to get out, the door to be shut. Now the fuel can go in, and once that's been completed, the second driver can get in.
Okay, so that was the reason for a yellow flag for Xing Pinhuan in the Honda NSX, having had that moment at Farm. 65 minutes or so of the race left to go. And it's still Sedgwickowski leading by 13 seconds from Baker. Joe Taylor is in third, Matt Wallace is fourth, Owen Fitzgerald is fifth, Chris Brown is sixth, and then seventh on our screen still is the car that you can see in shot, and that is the David Trigg Ginetta G50 that we handed over to Stuart Dayburn for the second half of the race. There is 316, Ivor Mayer's almost running over our cameraman by the looks of it, and that is going to be handed over to Andy Waters for the second half of the race.
A change of scenery from the Formula Ford for Ivor Mayer's, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, a regular at the Formula Ford Festival and Wild Hayes Trophy, those kind of events at the end of the season. Josh, more from you?
Further up the pit lane, the PDC Racing Porsche is in. They've decided not to pit where everybody else is in the garages. They've gone further up the pits to give themselves some room. So Gavin Johnson getting out. He's having a chat with Pip Hammond about how the car's going while the car is being refueled. And the spinner, the Honda NSX, is in the pit lane. So they should do a driver change too. That's at your end of the pit lane. At the end of the wing. So we've got 6 cars in the pits at the moment. It's a steady flow down here rather than the manic rush if there were a safety car.
Yeah, so 719, as you say, into the pits as well. That's the Gavin Johnson car to hand over to Pip Hammond. Second meeting out for that Boxster. We started the car in a Lotus. Pip Hammond, who will take over the twice Classic Stock Hatch champion in 2009 and 2011, and the 2017 Porsche 924 champion as well. There's that 44 car. That's the invitation class car then of that Stuart Dayburn will be taken back out. Josh, more news from you?
Further up the pit lane, we have a Lotus in the pits. That's 152, and also back in is Matt Cherrington. So obviously Matt not happy with the handling of that car after the contact. The Lotus pit stop is the Cole Cavers and Ian Humphries changeover. That one looks much more standard than I think Matt Cherrington's gone straight into the garage. That car, yes, straight into the garage. Matt Cherrington wanted about a lap there before bringing the car in. There's a car at the end of the pit lane, which I can't tell you what it is at the moment. It looks like it's serving a penalty. It kind of looks Lotus shaped.
Oh, that could be Adriano Medeiros' car then, which is being started by Axel van Niederveen,
yes,
which needs its pro penalty, doesn't it?
Yeah, 30 seconds for that. Yes, that's what that will be. Well worked out.
Yeah, so getting that out of the way just before the halfway mark, before Adriano gets into the car. You can see on the screens a lot of debris being blown around Silverstone today, possibly, not terribly surprisingly, very strong winds here today, but they are due to die down, we hope, later on this afternoon, with the Formula V race being delayed on the basis of that weather forecast to hopefully be within slightly less breezy conditions. But we're focusing for the moment on the Tegiwa Club Enduro Championship race, which is approaching its halfway mark. Josh?
A rule question. When you make your 30-second pit stop, you can't make your pit stop at the same time, can you?
No, I don't think so. I think you've got to go out and come in again to do that.
But I suspect you might be able to guess what's happened.
Yes.
The Lotus is stopped in the pits. We've also got a Class B BMW that is in. I missed. Is that 191 possibly?
Oh, possibly. You've got a spinner though. That is the number 37 car that's had a moment. That is the Mazda MX-5.1 and the number 4 Peugeot RCZ as well, which is being driven this weekend solo by Charles Campbell. Those are off at the same corner, so possibly those two events are connected. It was the Scott Ferguson and Stephen Andrew Mazda that went around. Possibly might need the intervention of the safety car, this one. We'll wait and see. I've got my eye on it. It's not moved from its station at the end of the pit lane, but damage we can see to the back end of the number 37 car. Quite heavy damage as well for that car, which was started by Scott Ferguson. Josh, more news from you?
That Lotus of Axel van Niederveen sat in the pit lane for a further 30 odd seconds, then went back out again, so that's not their mandatory stop. They had that penalty. So whether that's an issue or the team then realised they made a mistake and had to send the driver back out. Either way, that car back onto track now.
Watch out for Matt Maxted coming in next time around. He's just driven past his pit station, flashing his light. So I think we'll see Matt Maxted, number 83, heading into the pits next time around. That's the car that's just ahead on track of the number 6 Honda Civic, which we're watching now on our screens, only just ahead of Joe Taylor. There's only 0.7 of a second between those two cars now, between second and third positions. So as they go into the yellow flag zone, where that incident's being cleared, it's Joe Taylor right with these. Now there's back markers there. Now I don't know if they've now cleared the green flag, but there's back markers that they need to deal with. But this will be helping Joe Taylor to go right back in behind the Honda Civic of Rob Baker. And now as they go into Stowe Corner, it is still Baker holding on. The 48 cars into the pit lane again, I can see, for the second time in quick succession.
Two other cars that have come in here, Luke Handley's Civic and the 1 Series BMW, the Nick Grove and Carlo Turner car. But it looks like Robert Taylor is going to get a go, and Mark Jones getting out of that Seat that you mentioned. OK, so almost exactly an hour left to go at this point of the race. As you suspected, Matt Maxted is in, and Axel van Niedervern is back in too, so Adriano Medeiros should get a go now. But you wonder if some of these cars, Ian, reacting to that incident you've mentioned.
Thinking there was going to be a safety car.
Absolutely.
Safety car is still absolutely stationary. No sign that its lights are being turned on. So presumably the marshals and the officials, more to the point, are happy that they can deal with that incident without the intervention of the safety car, because I tell you, it would be a very good time for there to be a safety car slap bang in the middle of the race. That would work out very nicely for most of the teams, certainly the ones that haven't yet made their stop anyway. And to be fair, none of the front runners have yet made their stop in any of the classes, apart from Matt Maxted, though he's been the first one to do that really in Class B, so he's rolled the dice, I suspect, and made an early stop.
A damaged car is in the pit lane. This is a Honda Civic. This is car number 14, which is the Mark Lloyd-Jones car, but with Alistair Lindsay, who started it. We've got a big old dent in the front of the car. Potentially that's been there for a while, because the team don't seem terribly worried about it and just going ahead with the pit stop as they were. But we've got a big contender into the pits, Ian, because it's the Class A Honda Civic. This is Rob Baker. The Area Motorsport car is in. Cole Swift will be standing ready to take that one over, so that car passes me. That car looks absolutely spotless, so a great first stint there from Rob Baker, a car that's struggled so far this season and go much better here at Silverstone.
And the black Mazda 37 Ferguson Andrew car that was damaged, I've just seen in the back of the picture driving off under its own steam, so it looks like it's still mobile at least.
Yeah, so that is good, and that will negate the need for any safety car. I didn't see if the Peugeot did get going, because that's just going past me as well now. That's the number 4 car being driven today by Charles Campbell on his own. He normally shares it with Graham Leggett. This is an ex-Belgian Endurance Championship car. But and there you can see actually in the background, just driving off the road by the 64-year-old property owner, who before last had his race, or last raced in Texas back in 2002. Josh.
The Boyton Hopkins Golf is in. Came in quite slowly. They're looking at the rear rear right-hand corner and tightening the wheel nuts up. So hopefully all okay there. But I'll head up towards the Baker and Swift stop. This is one of the cars that doesn't need fuel in a 2-hour race. Also see that Chris Brown is in. So Mika Brown, who was the quickest driver in qualifying to take over that BMW M4, the BMW Motorsport built car.
Yeah, I noticed that the best lap of the race actually has changed in the last couple of laps. In fact, it was the last lap before they've come in off the pits, I think. Rob Baker doing a 1:13.86, unless
that's the short lap.
That's the short lap, isn't it?
Isn't it?
I've forgotten we have that. That's contend with at Silverstone, don't we? You have to sort of ignore
factor it in.
Yeah. So it's hard to interpret what the fastest laps are on our screen. Those need to be taken away. You can see John Elsey, the resident 750 Motor Club photographer, in the background there in the pit lane, getting some excellent shots. Do look out for John's work. You can find that via the 750 Motor Club website and social media feeds. Some excellent images uploaded in the days after the race. Josh.
Looks like a front tyre change for the Area Motorsport Honda. Cole Swift already into the car, so the driver change being completed. The team just doing some checks, as they can do in this 3-minute pit stop, as they don't need to refuel the car. Means that they've got more time for other things to do. However, mechanics suddenly run in towards the engine bay, so have they got a drama, Ian.
Yeah, we've got a drama for somebody. It is the number 79, and that is the Andrew Lightstead car that is on the approach, or the Imran Khan car on the approach to the pit lane with its bonnet having flipped up in front of the windscreen. Now, that may well have done some damage to the windscreen, but Imran Khan cannot see where he's going. This is the car that's second in overall in the championship, is the leader of the Class C championship. And I think Imran has probably got his hand out of the window now, just trying to tip that bonnet back open. The marshals now heading over the barriers to just put that bonnet back down. Has it smashed the screen? Hard to tell from that picture. It won't go down properly, but if he should be able to get it into the pit lane now, where his team can have a look at it. But that's the Andrew Lightstead Imran Khan car, currently driven by Imran Khan, on the way into the pit lane. I think it has done some damage to the screen, actually. That Josh will check that when it comes in. But
first of all, Ian, I'll have a chat with Rob Baker. Well done, Rob. Great stint out there.
Yeah, a lot of push. Fuel really hurts our car, more than we thought it would. So for the first few laps it was okay, and the slow speed corners we're just having to go slower and slower and slower all the time now. But yeah, got a bit of a issue in a few places, but see how we go.
Looks like the first time this year the car's really been right at the front of the pace.
Yeah, I mean, we were at the front at Croft, if you remember. We were a lap up for an hour and trying to lap the 2 second and thirds, and the pace has been fine. We've fitted a lot of new parts. There's a lot of new cars coming into the championship this year that are a lot faster than some of them last year, so we've tried to up our game as well, and we're just, you know, testing components all the time and seeing how we go, really.
I guess being a front-wheel drive car as well, it hurts the tyres, does it, more than the others?
It does when you overdrive it, like I did for the first 5 laps trying to stay with Luke's M4. So once I settled down a bit, we could just do some consistent pace, but you know, it's 2.5 seconds off quali time. I think the track's got a bit hot and everyone's got a bit hot, really.
When you look at the cars on paper, though, a BMW M4 and a Honda Civic, it shows how well the area boys have got this car going.
Yeah, we've had it for 3 years. The guys that we've got working for us have been with us for 3 years, so they're all great, and we just keep trying to improve things. You know, if you stand still, people overtake you, don't you? So you've got to keep constantly trying to improve things and make it faster and just keep going that way.
Well done on your stint anyway, and hope that all can bring it home in a good position.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
That's Rob Baker down here in the pit lane, Ian. I shall head up and see what's going on with the rest of the cars down in what is a much busier Silverstone pit lane now. Yeah,
it'd be worth, I'd say, trying to find Imran Khan and Andrew Lightstead. See if there is damage to the windscreen on the BMW after the bonnet flipped up. That was the 330 that Andrew Lightstead raced in the 330 Challenge last year.
Little genetic G40 has seen go out, the GTS car. It's the Black and Anderson car. Yes, that has taken a whack at MX-5, hasn't it? And I noticed early on that Dan Eagling was involved with looking after that Ginetta for the Anderson and Black duo.
It's the 18 car there. That's the Elise of Jonathan. That was a spin earlier on.
Marcus mentioned that Ginetta, that had a big bash at Croft, didn't it, in the early stages? So the Lifetime Racing guys have done well to get that back out. I think that was at Cadwell, wasn't it, in a few weeks ago? So
it was, yeah.
It was Ian Anderson there that had the big crash right at the beginning. Yeah, there's big damage, isn't there? So the front of the car and Lightstead, the bonnet on that, and the team working hard to try and get the car back out.
Has it shattered the windscreen, or has that escaped?
Not that far, not that close to it at the moment.
Okay.
But it's certainly been pushed a long way back because the shape of the roof doesn't look right.
The leading car is going slowly. Luke Sajikovsky off the circuit there.
Has he got a puncture?
Has he got a problem? I think he's heading into. We'll try to head to the
pits.
He's pulling off. He's pulling off the circuit. The race leader, Luke Sajikovsky, keeping well out of the way of everybody else. Now he's pulling. Well, he's now in the middle of the road actually. So the former leader of the race, as he now is, Luke Sajikovsky, right-hand indicator on, is pulling off halfway down the hangar straight. By the looks of it, he might be able to get it back to the pit lane.
How long does that car normally run on fuel here?
Well, it would normally need to stop an hour in. Josh would probably know better.
It's done nearly an hour and 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it just tight on fuel? That would be one to find out, Josh.
It did do longer stints at Croft. Do you remember made them early? It's a shattered screen on the Lightstead
I thought so.
car and BMW. It's been pushed right back in the cabin as well. So The team though trying to get the bonnet back on. You can hear the hammering behind me.
Is that front left-hand tyres down, I think, on Sedzukovsky?
Yeah, it is front left puncture on Sedzukovsky's car, so it'll be interesting to find out from him when you get a chance to talk to him, Josh, because he is going to make it back to the pit lane, how that happened. Maybe a bit of rough work on one of the curbs there could have instigated that.
Imran Khan's been jumping on top of the bonnet trying to get it back down again. Now they got the tank tape out, and
but I'm not sure what the scrutineers will make of them going back out with a shattered screen, though. That's
there are no scrutineers in sight, so
okay. Well,
but not from within the car, the screen shattered.
Let's have a look at the BMW that's coming down the pit lane, see if there's damage or if it's just a flat tyre. Yeah, it's just a flat tyre. No damage around the front left-hand corner at all, so that looks like just a flat tyre for Sedzukovsky.
It's put the cat among the pigeons, hasn't it, Josh?
Absolutely. So, talking obviously to Rob Baker, and he said that car has a few issues and it's wearing its tyres out too. So it could be a completely different order in the second half of this race.
So it's Joe Taylor that now assumes the lead by more than half a minute over Matthew Wallace in second place. Andy Bailey will move up to third place. Steve Cheetham, the championship leader, fourth place overall and second place in Class B. And then it's going to be the car that's now being driven solo by Paul Huxley, the Seat Supercopa, that will move up to fifth, and Michael Downey sixth. You can't read too much into these positions. None of those have made their stops.
We've got true 750 Motor Club paddock spirit in the pit lane, Ian, because Darren Ball is helping Andrew Lightstead and Imran Khan to get their car repaired.
Is he on the bonnet as well?
He's been taping it up for them while the team get the fuel ready. They're putting the fuel into the car now, so they're going to drop a long way down, but scoring points could be absolutely crucial come the end of the season. Meanwhile, there's a car in the pit. That car's in the penalty, and that's the Ivor Mayers and Andy Waters car, so that car sitting in the penalty box at the beginning of the pit lane.
Okay, so that could have been an infringement from maybe the earlier pit stop.
Guess who's turned up at the Imran Khan and Andrew Lightstead team?
Go on.
It's a scrutineer.
Well, it's because we brought it to their attention, probably. Sorry, guys.
They let the team do all the fixing, and now they're saying no.
They probably watched in fact, the pictures on the screen.
Yes.
And thought, nah.
Yeah, well, that I could see that being a problem. No pun intended. But yeah, that's not. You can't really go out with a broken screen. That's not on. Hopefully we'll be able to get a word with them, Imran Khan, to find out exactly what happened. We're watching some cable ties be applied to the former race-leading Sedzukovsky car at the moment.
There's careful inspection on Imran Khan's eyes now to make sure no glass, when the screen is smashed, went in. There is glass in the cockpit, even though the screen hasn't gone completely.
Yeah.
No, it'll be a laminated screen, won't it? It'll break into little square chunks, but hopefully all is okay.
There's definitely bits of glass in the cockpit.
Tell you what, the area Motorsport Honda's.
Oh, a spin and some contact there on screen. That was the number 80 car that has been sent around. I didn't see what the other car that was involved there was, but the 80 car, of course, is the Golf of Hopkins and Slay, and that has pitted, I remember Josh saying. So that should be Matthew Slay now aboard. It's got going again though. Sorry, Marcus.
No. I was watching the speed of the area Motorsport Honda, and that's got a lot more to race for now, I sense. It's getting pretty serious.
Yes, because the Sedzukovsky car was just a little bit too far up the road before, but that's now losing time in the pits. I'm sure they'll try to minimise the amount of time that loses, so they'll do the driver change as well for David Whitmore to take over. We'll certainly be in there for 3 minutes, but I suspect more than 3 minutes getting that sorted.
I've just had if Joe Taylor's in the pit, I've just had a chat with Andrew Lightstead off mic, and he said that the bonnet pins have just completely snapped. And it happened, of course, the time the pit stop was due. But he said that they were sort of riding their luck because they had problems at Cross where the car ran out of fuel on the last lap. To Spa, they managed to finish with broken suspension mount, so this time they aren't going to get to the end with that problem there.
Okay, leading Class C at the moment still, and now in 10th place overall is John Monroe. Don't think he's yet fitted. To hand over to the local tyre man, Nick Dougal. He will be the second driver for that car. There is what is left of Luke Sedzukovsky's left front tyre. Answer, not a lot.
Make that just a nice little ornament.
Could do, couldn't you? Yeah. So we've got 46 minutes, just over 3/4 of an hour left to go. We'll run down in the order in a second, Josh.
Phil going into the Joe Taylor car as our Class C leader is in. You were just speaking about the Together We Progress team. So John Monroe into the pits, and you can see how small the Joe Taylor team is. He's not just a solo driver, he's also helping with the refuelling too. So a great effort from him out there. The fuel now going into the John Monroe car, and Nick Dougal will take that over. However, there's a bit of confusion because the fire extinguisher wasn't ready. It is now, so John Monroe himself dealing with that as the team go to refuel that. Joe Taylor's Lotus has had one dump churn go in, and I think that's enough for it. So Joe Taylor, we're getting ready.
Top of the tree now is the 55 Seat of Matt Wallace, going very, very slowly down the Hangar Straight. Is one of the Lotuses. 157, I think, is that?
152, that's
152.
the Carl Cavers Ian Humphreys Lotus Elise.
That's one that had the massive spin earlier in the race, Ian, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not going to make it. It's pulling off on the Hangar Straight.
And you'll probably know this, Josh, but it's now raining.
Yeah, Andy Bailey just stood in the middle of the pit lane and looked up. He's been standing there, hasn't he, with his helmet on for the last 3/4 of an hour waiting to get a go.
Yeah.
Presumably waiting for a safety car, which we haven't had. Still standing by the John Monroe car.
In fairness, they may not be able to leave a stranded Lotus halfway down the Hangar Straight.
We'll see about that.
Refueling done here, so therefore the team sprint into action, and Nick Dougal about to get aboard the Mazda MX-5 that led Class C throughout that first stint. And when John gets his helmet off, we'll have a chat. That Mazda's also in this pit lane garage here, the one that you said had the incident earlier on, the 37 car. Driver still in the car, and the team working with it, so perhaps we'll see the Scott Ferguson car back out on track.
Oh, big spin, 91 goes round. One of the BMWs.
I think you'll see the 95 car in next lap, Josh.
Okay, first of all, I'll have a chat with John. John, great stint there, leading the class, and by a good margin too.
Yeah, fantastic stint. We've basically had braking problems all season, not quite getting used to, can't quite work out what the problem was, but this weekend we seem to have nailed it, so car feels fantastic. I think we were driving well as well. We had the car set up well for Silverstone. We've kind of got the measure of the other Mazdas on the corners, but we've got enough poke on the straights to make it okay. So yeah, it's going brilliantly, and hopefully Nick can take it to the finish now.
You might not know this, but the BMW guys, Imran and Andrew out the race, so they're sort of your main rivals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been amazing all season. I mean, credit to them. They've been the class of the field, and just to be competing with them is fantastic. We didn't expect to be quicker than them, which we were, and hopefully we can carry that on for the rest of the season. I did see them parked up at the pit lane entry, which is unfortunate, but there's a couple of drop rounds, so I'm sure they'll be back out in no time.
And Spa last time out to Silverstone, two fantastic circuits.
Yeah, I know, it's incredible. What a life we're living, you know what I mean? Like, this Club Enduro Championship is absolutely fantastic. It allows club racers to get a taste of these places in an endurance format, and obviously this team is fantastic. I'm sure all the guys up and down the paddock, guys and girls, a bunch of good people, and everyone gets on really well, so we can all enjoy it together. So no, absolutely loving it, and to get wins at both tracks, just the dreams come true.
And I think a charity team as well. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, basically with TWP we run students from the university in Wrexham, and they work as the mechanics, engineers. They also work at the hospitality and everything like that. So John Earp from Mission Motors, who originally was with Mission Motorsport, built this team up with his son Will, and it's become a huge outfit now, and it's fantastic. Great to see all the students getting the opportunity to work in the cars, and they've built an amazing one. I mean, we're leading by a lap, and yeah, hopefully they enjoy all the success that comes to them.
Well done on your stint.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So that was John Monroe out of that Mazda MX-5. That Golf is in now, so Luke Slavich will finally get to take over from Andy Bailey.
Yeah, they've done well, haven't they? They've run 57 laps so far, the Slavich-Bailey car. Interestingly, though, of the stoppers, Joe Taylor on 56 laps is now only 8 seconds clear of Carl Swift in the number 6 Area Motorsport Honda, which we thought was going very quickly just a couple of laps ago, with its lights flashing down the Hangar Straight.
Yeah, Carl Swift, who's taken that over, TCR driver these days, of course. Well, there's some bodywork in the road at Stowe Corner. Now that will be something that's of interest to the officials, I'm sure. Looks like a bonnet, does it, or something like that, or engine cover maybe from something.
It's something dark with twin orange stripes up it. That's all I can see. As it flipped up into the wind.
Yeah, it might blow itself further down the hangar straight and out of harm's way before much longer, I guess. We shall see.
Could have come from anywhere, in actual fact. Not
Might be a
necessarily
different.
Silverstone.
There it is again. Might come from a different race meeting. Yes. Marshall heading off to recover it though before it does any more damage, but it's off the circuit now at least. The wind gets particularly gusty.
Gusty wind there is actually rocking our box, and 3 people and a lot of equipment in it.
Yeah. So, eerie above Abbey Curve here, which is where we're watching on from, which doesn't give us much of a view of the track itself, but we do have the excellent Alpha live stream here to guide us through the proceedings. There's the Matty Taylor Will Ashmore compact that's gone through. There's the number 11 car of Micah Brown. He's behind David Whitmore, who's now taken over the Luke Sajikowski car. It's gone back out there again.
Micah Brown last time round a 1:14.68, by far the quickest car on track at the moment at BMW.
Yeah. Carl Swift there is 8.67 seconds behind the car ahead. As we watch the 8.
With double yellows waving, that's presumably for the marshal picking up a piece of errant bodywork.
I would think so, yes. That's on the hangar straight. So no overtaking there. I would think the big green's probably on the exit of Stowe from there.
Comes the BMW. I don't see much overtaking now. Sitting sort of dutifully behind. Going into Stowe.
In an endurance race like this, spinner in the background there, it's the Lotus. But yellow flags can really hurt you, can't they? Because if you're stuck behind a slower car,
absolutely.
it can easily cost you several seconds down the straights.
Yes, the ochre-coloured Esprit had a huge spin coming out of the link onto the hangar straight at Chapel Curve.
Josh is in the pit lane once again.
That Scott Ferguson and Stephen Andrew Mazda that had the crash earlier has gone back out, so the team have got that one repaired. Matt Wallace has handed over to his brother, so we had to see where that car ended up in the overall order, because that was going well early on. And Steve Cheaton, the Class B Championship leader, is also in the pits.
Wallace was second at the time of his stop, car 55 Wallace, but now Joe Taylor has gone back into second place. He's 44.6 seconds behind Paul Huxley, who's yet to stop. And the Baker Swift car is 10 seconds behind. 10 seconds behind the 77. 77 leads effectively on corrected scores from 6, but actually out front on the road is 16, which is Paul Huxley.
Yeah, there's no pit stop window, of course. You can make your stop at any point during the race, although, of course, most people will make it during the middle segment, because that's how it works out for fuel, as being the best place to stop.
Huxley's a soloist, Ian, isn't he, in the Seat Super Copa?
Yeah, he is. In that number 16 car, the Panther Performance entry. First season of circuit racing, having done some hill climbing and sprinting before. 50-year-old company director from Whitchurch in Shropshire, not too far away from Alton Park. So we can see more debris blowing across the circuit down the hangar straight. That's Michael Downey's car, which I'm always quite confident spotting the orange Boxster. Oh, and a spin for one of the Lotuses again. That's down through Farm, I think. And it's the 10 car, isn't it, that's spun that time, which is the Oliver Crease Simon Middleton Class B Exceed. Oliver Crease, I presume, at the wheel of that now. So we're into this, well into the second half of the race, almost into the last quarter of it, actually.
There's the Tegiwa Honda NSX, 2-litre EP3 powered car. Now with the second driver aboard.
Yeah, so the timing screen will take a few moments to settle down. Last few drivers do make their stops. There's another car heading into the pits now, in actual fact. Can't see. Is that the Polo, possibly? It's heading into the pit lane now, which should be for another stop. I think if it is. 36 minutes to go. In the background, you can see the Fitzgerald car. the E36 M3, make its way down the straight with nothing in front of it particularly. So that's, well, actually it's going to be Rory Hind now at the wheel of that one, isn't it, number 8?
Quickest lap of the race, still with the Baker Swift Honda, 1:13.86 with 1:13.90, 400 slower. Chris and Mika Brown BMW, which currently runs in 6th place, car number 11. Picking off other contenders. That's
the 37 car. That's the patched up Master that's sustained that damage a few laps ago and has been into the pit lane since. Scott Andrew, I think it will now be, that's at the wheel of that car. Stephen Andrew, I should say, will be taken over from Scott Ferguson. So Stephen Andrew at the wheel for the second part of the race. There's just something trailing from the rear of that car. There's the NSX, which is actually being lapped by the MX-5, so all is not well with the NSX, I suspect. It's an Nankang test driver on board.
I guess he's not as familiar with the circuit as Champignon is, because he was out last year in that BMW M3, the yellow speed car. He's the boss of yellow speed.
Yeah, I think we've seen him a couple of times. Josh has more news.
The number 80 Golf is back in, and they're taping the window together. I think the window frame has failed, presumably in all this wind, and the scrutineers are keeping an eye on proceedings too. They're taping the whole of the window.
Was that the left-hand door?
Yes.
It looked like that had quite a whack, that door,
right,
earlier on, so that might also explain what's gone on there.
Yeah, because it's sort of taping it on the in and on the outside as well. And the scrutineer is actually helping out with it as well. So hopefully this should. Oh yes, you can see the dent now. That's been closed back up, and away the car goes once again.
33, the former leader, now with David Whitmore aboard, is about, what's that going to be, 9 seconds adrift of the 8 Hind BMW, started by Fitzgerald, and they run in 5th place now. Leader Paul Huxley, though, yet to stop. He's done 63 laps in the Seat, number 16. Taylor and Swift 11 seconds behind in his wake last time round.
The de facto race leader just going through Abbey, so just into your shot now. Any moment he should appear in that shot.
And the Baker Swift, we keep getting odd signals up from the Baker Swift car. He keeps getting double laps.
Yeah.
And then the timekeepers sort of kind of somehow sort out what seems to be an even Stevens, so to speak, somewhere down the middle.
Yeah, it's 14 seconds behind the de facto race leader, Joe Taylor, at the moment.
Yeah, so it's going backwards. It's not making further progress, is it?
Not at this point.
BMW.
You can see the Ben Salmon car is still leading Class B, so that was an early stop made by Matt Maxted, relatively speaking. Ben Salmon has taken that car over, still leading Class B, second in Class B, but only 2.8 seconds behind is the Golf, now being driven by Luke Schlevitz, number 95, and Steve Cheetham is about 22-23 seconds behind that car in 3rd place within Class B. So the Class B, an overall championship leader who's had 3 wins and 1 second place within Class B so far this season. Well, he's only running in 3rd place at the moment, having had that early spin as well, of course. And Class C at the moment, I don't think these have stopped. Perhaps, I don't know if you've seen this car in. That's the 52 car that is leading Class C at the moment, which is the Dolman and Sherd MX-5. Yeah, actually it's just Steve Dolman going solo, I think, on this occasion. Started 46th overall. That's the car leading Class C, with Nick Dougal having taken over from John Monroe, now in 2nd place. But that will change around if that Dolman car is yet to make its stop.
Yeah, I think that Mika Brown's got to get going in the last, he's got half an hour-ish to make a further headway up that chart. The NSX is being overtaken left, right and centre, but I wonder whether the second driver is just not familiar with Silverstone and all the conditions, and or has some kind of technical problem which hindering his speed. The two cars go incredibly wide out of the loop, don't they?
They really do, yes. And I think over the years, and obviously the circuit's been recently resurfaced, the position of the white lines have changed that demark the edge of the international circuit. I think in the past that they probably wouldn't have got away with that. But Josh is down in the pits.
I've just had a chat with Luke Tegiwa, and he said it was just a tyre blowout, but it was through Abbey Corner, which meant he had to do the whole lap on a flat tyre. They did no contact or anything, just the amount of wear on that front left-hand corner around this lap, and real shame for them. He's still running there in 4th position on adjusted results, but could have been so much more.
Yeah, certainly could. So Sedziakowski will do what he can, or rather David Whitmore will now, who's at the wheel of that car. We've seen
that there's another car in the penalty box in. Looks awfully like a Mazda MX-5 that was leading its class earlier. It's
the Nick Dougal one.
Potentially, but I am at the opposite end of the pit. So
yeah, and I'm even further away than you are. So.
But it's been held for a long time, whichever car it is.
Marcus has got his binoculars out now, so we'll see if...
White MX-5 with a red broad band over the top of it. Does that ring any bells?
Yeah, we'll try and figure that out in a minute.
I shall head in the direction, but probably by the time I get there,
it'll come past you.
You'll certainly be able to compare or confirm the number. Half an hour left to go in this race. And Paul Hooks, he still hasn't made his pit stop. He's out there in the lead, number 16 in the Seat. Second is 77 Joe Taylor. Third is 6 Carl Swift. Fourth is 8 Rory Hine. Fifth is 33 David Whitmore. Sixth is number 11 Micah Brown. Seventh is 55 Simon Wallace. 8th is 83 Ben Salmon. 9th is 95 Luke Levitz. 10th is number 44, which is Stuart Dayburn. 11th 43 Steve Cheetham. 12th number 4 Charles Campbell. 13th number 46 Will Ashmore. 14th number 51 Luke Handley. 15th is number 18 John Allerton. 16th is number 52 Steve Dolman. 17th is number 719 Pim Hammond. 18th is number 27 David Vincent. As there is the car, it is indeed the 73 car then that is serving a penalty, and that is the form. Well, it is the class leader. It will be the class leader, or it would have been, after Steve Dolman had come in. And that would be interesting to find out what that's for, but it could be pit lane speeding or something like that. Josh, any news?
It's a long penalty too, isn't it? I know you've got all the regs there.
I have, yes.
Usually when it's this long, it turns into a 5-minute penalty, doesn't it, for the refuelling? And there are so many people that work at TWP Racing. You kind of think they're sort of overmanned when they have their pit stops.
Did you say that the fire extinguisher was late getting on the scene?
Yeah, that would be.
And that would make sense then. Refuelling in a matter incompatible with general safety, possibly then stop and go for a minimum of 5 minutes would be the penalty there. We've got a spinner at Farm, I think that is.
Another MX-5, a white one. It's got going again. 93, is it?
Yeah, Jeff Guerrier and Russell Tamplin's car, that would be. That's an MX-5.
And that's rear bumpers hanging off that one.
Yeah, possibly the
probably dragging on the grass, I think, as he went across. Just the corners tattered.
Yeah, it would be good to get confirmation of that, the reason for that penalty, if you do speak to anyone official, Josh, but that is likely reason for Nick Dougal's penalty, a pit stop infringement there. Well, last year here at Silverstone it was Luke Sedziakowski that took the win. He's not going to do that today, I don't think, because he's in 5th position at the moment with David Whitmore at the wheel of his car at the moment with 27 minutes left to go.
Leader Huxley in 16 has still to pit, we believe. 25 seconds to the good.
The 52 MX-5 is in now, which is...
That's the car that's not yet stopped, so that
Dolman
makes sense.
and Sherd, that was leading Class C because it went longest.
Yeah.
Bizarrely, it's got a B letter on the back.
Rather than a C, which a Class C car should have.
I think I might have just worked out what it's for, but I'm not going to say.
Okay.
But it should have a C there, shouldn't it? That should have been replaced for this meeting.
Yeah.
But that's something that'll be overlooked. But I'm around the Mazda pits, so I'll try and answer your question.
Okay, so that's Steve Dolman's MX-5 that's in. It looks like the Dougal car's now on its way again, having served its penalty.
Whitmore is only -5 on the car ahead of him, which is the Rory Hine BMW.
The car that I think will take the lead of Class C, looking at it, is going to be the 177 car, the Ian Anderson car, as it's being driven in the second half of the race, the Ginetta G40 GT5.
The 93 MX-5's in now.
Which is the one that we saw have a spin with some damage to the rear end.
Oh,
But
yeah, so
the
that-
Black Anderson Ginetta looks like it's going to go to the head of that C class
Yeah.
for the moment.
Yeah, they're taping up that damage you've spotted, Ian. So that's been hit there on the rear right corner.
B still led by the Salmon and Maxted car. Number 83, 95 Bailey and Schlevitz. Salmon and Maxted 10 seconds to the good at this point with 25 minutes to go.
Josh.
BMW coming down the pit lane now. That's number 91. And not sure if this is an unscheduled stop.
That's the Tom Kirkland Oliver Owen Class B
That's
E36.
straight into the garage, so certainly unscheduled.
Yeah, we weren't planning to do that. David Whitmore goes past our commentary box in 5th place, number 33. 4 seconds behind the Owen Fitzgerald E36 M3. Oh, and there's that's Carl Swift slowing. Coming out of the link, Carl Swift in the 3rd place, number 6 Honda Civic is slowing. He's got a problem down the hanger straight. The car is taken over from Rob Baker. It's going to be passed any moment by Rory Hind now. Rory Hind is going to go up into 3rd place. David Whitmore will go up into 4th, and drama for the area motorsport team.
Ian is the leader that you are yet to stop. That's Paul Huxley, isn't it, in the Seat?
Yep.
So that's in now, the Super Cooper. You talk about the area car. Is it picked up again? Because obviously it had those fuel pickup issues at Donington and at Croft.
Not fully at all. It's still limping its way back towards you.
Because obviously we saw that fuel pickup problem. That was just a sort of a problem with the exit of corners in in the end part of the race. But if it's not picked up again, that's not the same issue.
Looks like it's picked up a bit in the pit lane.
Yeah.
Early part of it.
Well, helped by gravity, possibly. Because it's downhill.
Tyre change on the front, I think, for the Seat. Fuel will go in, and if the fuel goes in, the driver doesn't want to be touching the door. Right, so that could be a penalty too. Into the pits then, as you say, has come Carl Swift. This was on 2nd place, basically, wasn't it? The area motorsport car. And looking to see if it's down on any corner. Thumbs down for Carl Swift, so that car, I suspect, is going straight into the garage.
Okay, so we've had some dramas for some of the, probably the 2 front runners that we had in the very early stages. Luke Sedgwickowski handed over to David Whitmore.
Yeah, Sedgwickowski and Whitmore are going to get a podium out of this, though, aren't they?
They are.
But Joe Taylor is now back in the lead at 71 laps, the soloist.
He is, and he is going to be I think a minute clear of Hind and Fitzgerald.
Hind and Fitzgerald,
Rory
that's right.
Hind now, yeah, he'll be second.
But they're being caught now, slowly but surely, over a number of laps by Whitmore.
Yeah, so that could be interesting for 2nd and 3rd places before the end. And then it's quite a long way back to...
Preston Becker Brown, BMW number 11, started right at the front. That's going to be a contender for the podium with 23 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's last lap with 1:15.03, which is faster than any of the other cars in the top 4.
Give them the leader. Yep. By a few hundredths. It's going to make a massive difference. They were into 4th place, and still into 4th place, and they're 8 seconds behind Sedgwickowski and Whitmore, who are 4 seconds behind Hind and Fitzgerald.
22 minutes to go in this race. Plenty of drama so far, impacting and particularly on the Class C battle. So just having a look in to confirm who is ahead in Class C. I actually think it's not the Anderson Black car, but it's the Darren Kell and James Kell now driving in the second half race. James Kell has got the lead within that class, but only by a small margin over the Ginetta. James Kelly was a winner last weekend at Alton Park in the MX-5 Super Series. Now leads Class C by my reckoning. in the number 68 Mazda MX-5.
I think the real excitement now is that battle for second, third and fourth place. There are less than 12 seconds between those three cars. 8, which is Hind, 33, which is Whitmore, and 11, which is now Micah Brown. Comes the NSX into the pits.
Yeah, it's been circulating relatively slowly, so we'll see if that's been a problem for that one. Turns the corner now. And
yeah, they've dropped from sort of the edge of the top 10 right back off the out of the top 20, haven't they?
Let's have a look. Yeah, 33rd now they are in the timing screen. That car, the beautiful looking NSX, has tumbled down the order. It's with the Honda Civic Type R engine, EP3 engine aboard. We think the bodywork that we saw on the track at Stowe a while ago was from the Exige, the hard top from the Exige that had pulled off.
Yes. It was a fairly flimsy looking piece of fiberglass.
It was. Josh.
It's a CV joint failure for the Area Motorsport Civic, so that's what's caused Cole Swift to be out of the race. Very frustrated, as you can imagine. They did so much hours, of course, going into that Area Motorsport car, and it's had I don't think it's finished a race this year or not in a competitive position. Not sure if you've spotted the Honda NSX is in the pits now as well.
And the ochre-coloured Elise is being pushed off.
Just right in front of our commentary box, actually. It's stopped down here at Abbey, and it's being pushed, behind even all the rescue vehicles and so forth, well out of harm's way. So that's the John Atherton car. So John Atherton out of the race.
74 laps for leader Joe Taylor in car number 77. Hyndon Fitzgerald hanging on to that tenuous second place in car number 8 by 3.7 seconds. And they are now 6.6 seconds ahead of Micah Brown in car number 11. The Wallace brothers Seat number 55 is in 5th, and 6th is the Class B leading car of Salmon and Maxted. Salmon now driving it.
Oh yeah, we've got a car off in the background. Oh, it's Steve Cheetham that has had a spin down there at the link. So the Class C Championship leader, now he'd got about 30 odd seconds in hand over the next car, Steve Cheetham. So he should still be all right and have held on to 9th overall and 3rd in class, but he'll be further away behind the Luke Levitt's Golf that was the car ahead of him, 11 seconds ahead of him before that spin. I was going to say as well, as we watched the Honda NSX in the pit garages, that the demise of the John Atherton Elise has promoted Pip Hammond and Gavin Johnson in their PDC Racing Porsche Boxster to 15th position overall now, having started in 20th. Marshals, who pushed the John Atherton car off, are heading back to their position. Yeah, at Abbey Corner in front of our commentary box window. It's getting ever closer for 2nd, 3rd and 4th overall, isn't it? So that's number 8, Rory Hind, 33, David Whitmore, and 11, Micah Brown now. There's only...
Yeah, Micah Brown is really catching Whitmore. Whitmore falling back a tad from Hind.
Only 8 seconds or so covering those first, or second 3, 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
45 seconds between, nearly 46 seconds between the leaders, 7 and 8.
Yes.
Taylor and Hind.
Most of the others
there
have
there is Hind on your screen.
Yeah, in 2nd place, and there is Whitmore.
Yeah, and behind Whitmore, not far behind, is Micah Brown. There he is in the 11 car with that very flash colour scheme.
So we'll see them all there in one shot on the hanger straight. There they go, just half of the hanger straight basically. Andy Waters in the 330 just ahead of the 2nd place car, one behind that. Just the bonnet slightly flapping in the breeze, a little bit like we saw David Kempton's in the...
Yes.
So it was one of the others, Robert Harrison's car in the other race. Yeah, in the BMW Car Club race. Not quite as pronounced though. So he's there in 2nd place at the moment, Rory Hind. And 3rd, David Whitmore. And 4th, Micah Brown. So you've got the 2 M4s getting pretty close together on the racetrack now.
Yeah, Micah Brown's going to have those two, I reckon, in the next 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, he's been lapping the 14s. In fact, 14.12 that time through, so much faster than any of the others on that lap.
Yeah, and that car has the second fastest lap of the race, a 13.90. The Honda that's just retired with the CV joint failure did a 13.86 earlier in the race. There are the M4s running together.
Yeah, so it's 33 Whitmore and 11 Micah Brown, and the gap has come down.
They've got to keep pushing now, otherwise Hind will get away from them.
Yeah, they have. They've not got to get drawn into their own battle, have they? That's all important.
They're almost better off working together. Having a slug it out in the last lap.
Yeah, possibly so.
Might get that. Oh, comes Micah Brown down the inside. There's half a gap.
We'll see how that works out in a moment as through goes Rory Hind, watching to see if they come through, and it's still the same order at the moment. They've got Andy Waters in the 3:30 to contend with, which they've now done. Down into the fair with 15 minutes of the race left to go, 15.5 minutes. Still Whitmore from Micah Brown.
Yeah, Brown leaves his braking later. He knows he can by a car length or so.
Micah Brown previously raced on Aston Martin, but switched to this BMW M4. Yeah, they come into Abbey then for the 78th time in this race, so yes, it'll be well over 80 laps by the end of it.
Half a second now between the two M4s and 4.13 seconds over second, third and fourth.
Yeah. So on to the Hanger Straight they go. Different lines being taken through the link. And yeah, it's still Whitmore ahead, always a bit deceptive when you get to such a long shot, but he's now looking to the left-hand side of the circuit is Micah Brown.
Drama in, the Class B leaders in, Matt Maxted and Nick Salmon. I think they were leading their class,
yes.
At any rate. They are into the pit lane, so that would be a Ben Salmon, won't it, who is at the wheel.
Yeah. Side by side for second place at the moment here as they head down to the Vale, and it looks like we've had the change there. It looks like Micah Brown has gone through into third place. That will be, in fact, ahead of David Whitmore. So change there for third place. Josh.
The BMW is just stationary in the pit. So this car won at Spa, am I right?
Yeah, it did, I think.
However, after that great stint early on for Matt Maxted, it looks like it may not finish. This car, driver getting out the car, Ben Salmon getting out the car. This car didn't get to start at Croft, it pitted on before the start of the race, and it's made it so close to the end here, and again looks like it's not going to finish.
So that will hand the class lead to Luke Schlevitz, who's not that far ahead of Steve Cheetham actually. All of a sudden that gap seems to have come down
regardless of Steve's spin.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but we'll keep an eye on that in a moment as the timing screen catches up with that retirement, as it appears to be, for the leaders. Yep, so it confirms on screen now that Schlevitz has gone through into the class lead, number 95. So we now need to watch as we watch the 719 car be lapped. That's Pip Hammond, be lapped by number 11 Micah Brown. He has got about 4 seconds or so to make up on Rory Hind now in the E36 M3.
The drama for the BMW looks like it's run out of fuel, which isn't very good at all, is it?
Not 13 minutes on the end.
So they're putting quite a bit of fuel in, really, considering what's happened here. And especially as you didn't have to risk the strategy, did you, with no safety car, so you could pitch in the middle of the race to give yourself the best chance. I can't recall if this was an early stopper.
It was quite early in the scheme of things, yeah.
Driver getting back in now, but I'm sure you'll be able to tell you they've lost many places in class.
Down to fourth, so Schlevitz is ahead, Steve Cheetham is ahead, Charles Campbell's ahead as well, and the RCZ. I'm not sure if that car's been into the pits actually, the RCZ. I don't know if you can remember seeing that Peugeot, Josh, but
it got so busy in the middle, you sort of lost track. The first pit stop was easy to keep track of, but then it gets much more difficult.
I didn't note it down, I must admit.
Looks like it's the Graves Motorsport team that are running this BMW this weekend, although it's got Raw Motorsport on the rear bumper. But that car now can refire. Of course, they don't need to do the 3-minute stops because they did that earlier on. Although it's going to be the best part of 3 minutes, isn't it, before it goes back out?
It is. So, 80 laps completed by race leader Joe Taylor, with less than 12 minutes to go now. And here's the fight for second on our screen. So the gap between Hind and Brown is down to a second and a quarter, 1.25 seconds between Rory Hind and Micah Brown now. Micah Brown had a 14.06 that time, Hind had a 16 dead, so 2 seconds very nearly made up on that lap. It's not going to take much longer, I don't think, for Micah Brown to get back up into second position here. So it's been a good effort in this second half of the race from Micah Brown. He's right with Rory Hind, and there's a gaggle of MX-5s and Seats and Golfs and BMWs of other descriptions ahead of them. Down the hanger straight they come. Is Micah Brown going to try and make the move into Stowe? The circuit's relatively congested. There is a gap left there by Rory Hind, but he's not able to take it. He wasn't close enough really to make that work at that point. Dropping down from Stowe through the Vale towards the left-hander. I think again, with so much traffic around, Micah Brown going to have to sit in behind. He's still got 10.5 minutes of this race left to go to try and find a way through past that number 8 car of Rory Hind and get through to what will be second place behind Joe Taylor, who continues to lead by more than 40 seconds in the Lotus. So along the start finish straight they go. They're going to be overlapping, are they, into Abbey? Not quite. There's the David Whitmore car in the background. So back down to the village hairpin once again with 10 minutes left to go. More traffic to deal with, including that 48 car that's been in the pits and spinning a few times during the course of this race. But at the moment at least, the 11 car of Micah Brown unable to find a way through. There is our Class B second place man, which is Steve Cheetham in the front of shot. But here is the battle for second overall, and it's side by side. It looks like Micah Brown has done it. Yes, he has, down the hanger straight. Micah Brown, number 11, goes through to take second place away from Rory Hind with 9.5 minutes of the race left to go. And it looks like the number 46 BMW Compact's probably get ahead for the pit lane as well. That's Will Ashmore, and into the pits has gone number 192, the Philip Nagel, Darren Anderson 330.
And it's failed halfway down the pit lane here, so Marshall Power will get that car to its pit box, and you can kind of wonder if that could be fueled as well, don't you, with the car not making it down the pits. And now I see the Army Motorsport team are sprinting up the pit lane to get that car that you just mentioned.
Yeah, that's the Matty Taylor Will Ashmore Compact. 82 laps gone. So just looking at Class B for a second, you've got Luke Levitt 6.2 seconds clear of Steve Cheetham with 8.5 minutes or so to go. Class C, it is still the Kells that are leading within that class. Darren Kell and James Kell, who are second in Class C and third overall in the championship coming into this weekend. They have had 3 class podiums, but they yet to have a class win this season, the Kells, father and son. So that might be about to change here.
Do you remember, Ian, when you mentioned when you questioned if the Peugeot had stopped?
Yeah.
Well, it's in the pit lane.
Ah, well, so it is a very late stop then for that car.
It's single driver this time, isn't it? Normally a shared car.
Charles Campbell on his own today.
And no need to refuel this car. This car can go for 2 hours on a tank, and therefore now going through that peak 3-minute window. It's lost its boot, or so that's quite strange, isn't it? I don't know if it's been running like that all race.
There's also tank tape being applied to the front of the car as well. So where there is some damage, I think that was the incident with the MX-5 earlier on.
I can't work out if it's got damage to the rear of the roof, or that's just how the car's designed.
No, that's how they are. A beautiful BL Burrow double bubble top.
Now the wind is pushing the car down the pit lane, so the team have had to stop it. So that shows you how breezy it is. The Seat come back in again, the Mark Jones Robert Taylor car, so that's the third stop for that one.
That's kind of out of contention now, isn't it?
It is.
A bit.
Charles Campbell, his pit stop, that also brought Luke Handley, I think, into third place within the Class C, the solo driver from Fleet in Hampshire with the Honda Civic Type R number 51. We'll go up to third place in Class C after that shakes out.
Nothing that 33 David Whitmore appears to be able to do to close down that gap to Rory Hind in the earlier spec. BMW number 8, the white car, might have lost second place overall, but he's not going to lose third in a hurry.
6 minutes 40 seconds to go. See from the comments on the live stream on YouTube that Mark Osland is watching this race sitting on his bed in a hotel room in Versailles. He says he supposes you should go and look at the sights, really. Well, why should you do that? Wait until the end of this race. You've got 6.5 minutes.
The sights will still be there.
They will still be there long after this race is finished. We've got another 3 races after this as well. And here is the second place car, third place car, I should say, Rory Hind. Josh?
Just looking at the time, not sure if you mentioned this, been changed in the Class C lead, hasn't there? Because James Kell's got past Ian Anderson, so that's a good effort in the MX-5.
Yeah, that's right. That's we picked that up a little while ago. That it was for a time a close run thing, but now it's James Kell with his dad having taken part in the early part of the race, leading in that class. As we come into the last 6 minutes of this race, just checking who else is within that class. It is second, the Anderson and Black car. Third is the Matthew Tidmarsh car. And it's the Dolman and Sherd car is now being shown as Class B rather than Class C, which it was on the practice sheets. So yeah, that's the Class B car.
But they have run in Class C up to now this season, haven't they?
I think you're right, but if there may have been more checks done to that car, and they've worked out that it shouldn't be in that class potentially. But it is showing Class B on the timer screens now.
So that letter that was on the back was actually correct. I see the BMW's quite slow out on track with the Class B car, the Ben Salmon car. It's coming up towards you. That car looks much slower than it should be.
Talking of cars that are slower than they should be, it was a slower lap from Rory Hind that time as well, a 1:17.05.
There was pretty hefty traffic, but he's now exposed himself to the 33 attack, hasn't he? And that is Whitmore, who has really closed in as a result of that. I think he just got unlucky with traffic in all probability.
Yeah.
He was in a big gaggle of cars on the Hangar Straight, as he is this time. And here comes the M4.
And we've had a change of lead in Class B as well, because Steve Cheetham is now ahead of Luke Schlevitz in that car. So that has changed around side by side for third place overall, though third place in Class A. So they go into Stowe Corner, but no. Rory Hind says no, David Whitmore, you're not going through at Stowe Corner. And with 4 and a bit minutes left to go, it's still Rory Hind third, David Whitmore fourth. But yes, that change in Class B then, it's Steve Cheetham now ahead by a second within that class. That happened, I think, on the previous lap. It was a much slower lap in the 1:19s for Luke Schlevitz, so possibly problems for that car. Meanwhile, continuing to try and get third place away is David Whitmore as they come along the start-to-finish straight once more. They're just putting a lap on Schlevitz. Josh?
That Golf sounds pretty rough as well, so and you can see they pulled right to the pit wall sides. That car looks to be in trouble, and that's why it's lost its class lead. Yeah,
okay, so Steve Cheetham, despite a few dramas along the way, looks like he is going to keep his very good record of and take it to 4 wins out of 5 in Class B this season. He'll continue to lead the overall championship as well, with just 3 meetings left to go. It's an 8-round championship. Drivers only have to count their best 6 scores, so with 4 wins and 1 second place from the first 5 races, he will be looking very good to wrap up the championship a little bit early, with the next race to come at Donington Park at the beginning of September. And here's the change for third. Down at Stowe Corner, this time it looks like the 33 car of Whitmore is going to go through. Certainly Hind's not giving up, but no, Whitmore this time does go through to take third place away from Rory Hind in the number 8 E36. So that looks like our podium possibly is settled, unless Rory Hind can come back in the remaining 3 minutes of this race. Class B, it is still Steve Cheetham from Luke Schlevitz. Class C, still James Kell from Ian Anderson. 19 seconds between those two now, so James Kell pulling away quite nicely. And yeah, that's Schlevitz car continuing to go slowly and lapping the 120s now. Just wondering if it's under threat from, it's not, because it's well over a lap ahead of Luke Handley, so that's not going to be an issue. There's Steve Cheetham, number 43, the Lodge Sports entered car. Championship leader, former Porsche 924 champion as well. Raced in the Porsche 924 championship for many years, then started to campaign this time in the Porsche Club of Great Britain championship, but latterly has raced it in Club Enduro. He's going to be lapped by Rory Hind, but he won't mind that at all. So we're going to get almost 90 laps. Probably are going to get 90 laps out of this race, aren't we now? As the 43 car of Steve Cheetham goes through. I'm surprised, he said to Jingwood, that we've not had a safety car at all during the course of this 2-hour race. We had, I think, about 5 or 6 safety cars at Croft for the last UK round of the championship, which we covered on the Alpha Live stream. This is a circuit which is probably a little bit more easy to get cars out of the way once they have gone off. Josh?
At Spa, about half the race was under the safety car because of the weather there. Different type of weather here, but we managed to, you say, even though the tracks are busy, I guess because it's a bit wider than like Croft, it's and the good marshalling around the track here too, as you say, means we've been able to stay green, which gives the best reflection of everybody's pace, doesn't it, compared to the safety car hampered races.
Just looking at it, the Ben Salmon car looked like he's going to come home 10th in Class B and 17th overall, but a car that's on the verge of getting onto the Class B podium now is Pip Hammond in the 719 car. How far behind Luke? He's 51 seconds behind Luke Hanley, so that's not going to happen unless someone has a problem in their head, but that's a good effort from Pip Hammond to get that car up to 11th overall in the second part of the race. That's the PDC Racing Boxster, not the Boxster that you see in front of you now, which is the 43 car of Class B leader Steve Cheetham. Last lap of this race now, because we're into the last 25 seconds. It's not a +1 lap race, so where is our race leader? There he is, Joe Taylor, making his way along the Hanger Straight, just tucked in behind the number 5 Honda Civic Type R of Peter Gillett, who's taken up from his Dodge Nicola. Quickly, Josh.
Luke Tedeschi for the pit lane, so the third place car's in the pits.
Okay, well that's David Whitmore into the pits now. That's a very late stop then.
It sounded like it could have been a puncher again.
Well, that's drama. I wonder if they could have just limped it home over the line, because they may, well, we'll see where they're classified. But it's Joe Taylor then coming through the Vale for the final time with 2 hours already elapsed. Through Club Corner now, solo drive. It's going to be his first win in the Tegiwa Club Enduro Championship. He's absolutely delighted with that. Hand out of the cockpit, waving his fist in delight. And Joe Taylor, well, as far as we've seen, a faultless drive there from lights to flag. And endurance racing is all about keeping out of trouble, and it looks like he has done that. We'll wait and see where the Tchaikovsky-Whitmore car is classified. But that might be a pass back for the Hind and Fitzgerald car to get back onto the podium. You can see Steve Cheetham there, the number 43 car. He's just heading down towards the Vale now. Our Class B leader. He is on his way to the checker flag. There he is, just turning through Vale towards Club Corner. He's going to finish in 7th place overall, and he's had dramas along the way, but number 43, Steve Cheetham it is, that is going to take a relatively comfortable, in the end, Class B victory. He also has his hand out of the cockpit and is very pleased with that. I think he thought perhaps a Class B wasn't on the cards today after the dramas that he had earlier on. And already through for the Class C victory, we've had James Kell in number 68 to win that class in the Mazda MX-5 from Ian Anderson and Amanda Black in the Ginetta G40. Joe Taylor the winner, from Micah Brown in 2nd place, Rory Hind with Owen Fitzgerald in 3rd place. I think we'll probably see the Tchaikovsky-Whitmore car, probably, although it didn't actually cross the lines. We'll see where it is classified, but that's 4th on our screens at the moment, ahead of the Wallaces. The invitation class car of Dayburn and Trigg, the Ginetta, across the line in 6th.
I think potentially the Wallaces, might they go ahead, because they're still running at the end of that, but I think they've all finished, in fact, and I think Tchaikovsky and Whitmore will keep 4th place out of it.
Yeah, we'll obviously get the full results confirmed later on, and maybe some more penalties and so forth still to be dealt with, but we'll have a look at the results as they stand. So Joe Taylor taking the win after 90 laps, 35 seconds clear of Chris and Micah Brown. Rory Hines and Owen Fitzgerald were 3rd, Luke Tchaikovsky and David Whitmore 4th. The Wallaces, Matthew and Simon, were 5th, Stuart Dayburn and David Trigg in 6th. Steve Cheetham winning Class B, yet again, 4th time out of 5 this season, 7th overall. Andy Bailey and Luke Slavitz were 8th. Paul Huxley was 9th. Further back, Adriano Medeiros took the car home to 11th place. Johnson and Hammond just actually picked up the line by Medeiros by the looks of it in the 719 Boxster. Then Beach, Downey, Campbell, Lindsay, Middleton and Ben Salmon after that late drama with the fuel, finishing 18th in the end, ahead of the Kells and the 2nd place car within that class of Anderson and Black. 3rd within that class was number 81 Matthew Tidmarsh, ahead of Jeff Gurrier and Russell Tamplin. Actually Steve Dolan and Paul Schiller established actually a Class B car, so John Monroe and Nick Dougal, despite their penalty, number 73, they will still finish 5th in Class C and 27th overall. And then we're getting into the cars that maybe didn't make it to the end, and actually quite a few of them. So it only looks like about 30 cars went the full race distance, which means that getting on for 20 have had various dramas along the way and either have stopped out on circuit or have stopped in the pits at the end of the race. Final screen of results there, and a confirmation that Justin Newnham was the first of our retirements, 87 laps down. I can see there's already a garland round our race winner, so let's head down to Josh Barrett.
He's having to hang on to the garland. Well done, Joe. A fantastic race. 2 hours of non-stop action out there.
Oh, that was crazy. That was real good fun, to be fair. Absolutely, I'm spent out. I'm super impressed with the car. It's meant to be a Lotus. It's not meant to be as reliable as it has been. So touch wood. We're going to go onwards from here and hopefully have some more podiums, some wins. But this is what we wanted for this season. All we wanted was, I said to myself, if we can get a win, we've arrived and we'll crack on for next season. But awesome.
It kind of puts you into Class A Championship hunt as well. You've got the drop scores from the first 2 rounds, so all going well, that you could still win the championship this year.
Well, exactly. We didn't even do the first round. That wasn't the aim. We just wanted to feed into endurance racing and see how we could get on. So the first round we didn't even attend. Second round we didn't even finish, as you know. And Spa, we had 2 great results, two second places. We didn't have the pace, overall lap time pace today, based on quali. You know, we were fifth best, but you've got to finish to be here, and we finished, and super happy. Really big thanks to the team, Chris and Tiff, who are my friends, come and help me, and big thanks to RRR, Nitron, and Tubular Exhaust for helping me this season.
You're obviously a very small team. I saw you getting involved with the pit stop. It shows you the club level racing, absolutely this is, and you're the race winner. You are being as clubby as anybody out there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a unit and I do all the prep with Chris. I do all of the work, all of the mechanic work, oils, prep on the car. So it's a real team effort, and it just makes this success just even more sweeter.
Well done and good luck next time out at Oulton Park.
Thank you very much.
So that's our overall winner, Joe Taylor. Our Class C winner over here, James Cowell. Well done, James. You caught the Ginetta and then passed it.
Yeah. I didn't realise that was a car in front of me. They just said, you've got to pass this guy in front. So I was like, all right. We had the pace, so we were just pulled past, really. And then I didn't realise I was in P1 until about 3 laps later. And then just managed the tyres and brought it home, really. But it's been a struggle with the understeer, this track. So it was a proper hard drive, that one.
Obviously, the BMW's won early on in the season, but here at Silverstone, Imagine X5's going really well.
Yeah, we knew the Beamers had the torque and the power. We've just been focusing on the setup and trying to get it dialed in for all the tracks. We still couldn't get it for this one quite spot on, but it was performing really well. My dad couldn't extract the full amount of time out of the car, unfortunately, but we pitted him and I just had to go as fast as I could for as long as I could, so yeah.
As people can see, you're racing Ginettas as well, but really, Imagine X5 is where you've learnt racing, and so it must be great to be out here against all these other cars that perhaps people think, oh, they'll be faster than an MX5, but they're not.
Exactly. I mean, the MX5s blow quite a lot of cars away on the track, even stuff with 50 more brake horsepower, but I mean, I only started in them last year, but they are great fun to drive, really good fun.
And racing with your dad as well, and winning with your dad must be something really nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's our first win together, so it's really nice to have that, at least the first season we're doing it, so it's really good.
Well done.
Cheers, thanks.
And that was our Class C winner then, James Cowell, who shared with his dad, Darren. Our Class B winner, though, was Steve Cheetham, another class win, but that one was a lot more hard fought than perhaps on previous races.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how we managed it, to be honest with you. I'd settled for third in the end. I'd started to back my pace off a little bit, even took my eye off my ball and had a little spin. But then I heard on the radio he's only 13 seconds ahead, so I thought, I've got to go for it. And yeah, can't believe we caught him and we got another win.
Like you've said here and at previous races, maybe not the quickest car in the class, but consistently over the race, your Porsche runs perfectly.
Yeah, we've had 100% reliability this season, and with this sort of racing, you've got to get it to the end. So we've not always been the quickest. I think we've had the fastest lap once all season. So no poles, but we're winning races. So that's what matters.
And the guys talking about obviously 2 drop scores, and you might be able to take them as your last 2 races. You could win the championship at Oulton Park.
Yeah, I'm trying not to think about it really. I'm just trying to take each race as it comes. But yeah, I am looking forward to Alton now.
Is that a good track for this car, do you think?
It's my local track, so I've done plenty of laps around there. So hopefully, well, I'm there 2 weeks before with Porsche Club as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a bit of practice in.
And a totally different track here at Silverstone. Really busy out there. How was it for you with the traffic?
It wasn't too bad with the traffic. Obviously, I got taken out early on, which put me back. And it's a very physical circuit. It doesn't look like it because it's very flat, but through the loop there, my back's killing me and my arm's just gone completely dead. So, you know, it's quite physical, really.
And I'm sure Alton Park, again, will be a very physical challenge.
Yeah, but I'm used to Alton, so, yeah, I don't mind Alton Park.
Well done on another win.
Right,
So that was Steve Cheetham, our Class B winner. We spoke to James Kell, who shared with Darren to win Class C, and our Class A winner, Joe Taylor. The Club Enduro Championship will be back at Alton Park next month. That will be all covered by Alpha Life, but we've still got more races to come. So let's have a look what's next.